Attention, please. Eastern Airlines Flight 19, now ready for departure.
Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're entering the vacation kingdom of the world.
There's enough land here to hold all the ideas and plans we could possibly imagine. We call it EPCOT. Will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow.
Welcome to another episode of the Retro Disney World podcast, taking you back to the vacation kingdom of the world, the way it was, and the way it is in your memories.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Retro Disney World podcast, the official podcast of the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society. This is episode 91, Contests at Walt Disney World. We'll be taking you back to all the different types of contests that have run from local television shops and airlines to things that Walt Disney World has done over the years to McDonald's and all sorts of great stuff. So, but before we dive into that, joining me for this recording, as always, is Mr. JT Kujar. How you doing tonight, JT? You're the lead on this podcast, too. So out of school and focusing on a podcast episode.
Yeah, definitely focused. But yeah, I'm here. I'm ready to tackle in. I love a good contest, and we're gonna talk about some good ones, I think.
And you don't have our old computer warmed up for anything. We do have something to give away. We do have to select.
We do have a giveaway, and we may fire up the computer again. That I had to order some new RAM and some things with ribbon cables and. To get it.
It doesn't run on tubes, right? It's a solid state, right?
Solid state. There's no breadboard.
All right. Oh, and coming in from Tiki Land, Mr. How Bowers. How I should go get it. I need to show you what I made, but maybe later on. But welcome to the show.
Aloha. It's good to be back again.
So the party that we're having this Saturday is all Tiki themed and Hawaiian. So I found and printed out 3D the Tiki, the drummer. Like you have the big big guy. Yeah, he stands about 9-10 inches tall. He's pretty cool.
Oh, that's great.
So,
did you make it a cup? Like you're gonna drink out of it all night?
No. I have other Tiki cups for that.
Okay,
so I've got plenty of that. So. And coming in from the city of brotherly love, Mr. Brian P. Miles, or just on the outskirts thereof.
Greetings and salutations, and to you, Todd, an early happy 50th birthday. Happy 50 years.
50 happy years. 50 happy years. 50 happy years.
Thank you. And happy belated birthday to you, sir, as well. We're both round the sun.
Crossed the
50
threshold
times.
myself last month and ended my month-long celebration with a catered affair, as Frank Costanza would say, this past Sunday with about 90 of my closest friends and family. So
that's awesome.
It just kind of hit me. You guys were my age then when we started.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 10 years ago. Yeah. Look at that.
That's crazy.
Have you turned 40 or are you turning 40?
I'm 41.
Oh, goodness. We missed the big 40th. Sorry about that, big guy.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It wasn't a big deal.
Okay. We'll get you on the 50th.
Not missing.
So, yeah, we've got the big party this weekend, not only for my birthday, but we're celebrating my son's 18th and his graduation and going off to college. So, a lot of stuff going on here at the home office in New Hampshire.
I thought of that, Todd, and I want to ask you live on the air. You've got all this going on, parties and this and that. What made you decide to assemble a 3D printed engine in the middle of all this? Like, I think what I need is more stuff to do. And honey, this is really important.
The best part about that stuff is you set it up and it just prints.
Okay, good.
And then, you ignore it for 24 hours sometimes because it's just working out. And then, you got a break or you need a breather for something. You go down and you assemble it for 30 minutes. So it takes months. It takes a month plus to build this stuff.
I do have to give a shout out, by the way. I can't mention my party without a solid shout out to our in-house entertainer-in-chief, Tammy Tuckey, who attended along with Matt Horizons One and our friend Rob Hinkle. And Tammy lives close to the bakery where I ordered my 50th birthday cake from, which was a number cake with a 5 and a 0. which were very common back in the day, and apparently now are very expensive to produce based on what I paid for my cake. But Tammy lives like within 10 minutes of the bakery. So I asked a favor if she would be willing that Sunday to pick it up and bring it with her. And she showed up early and got the cake there safely and helped set up the room. So it was just like being back at Retro Magic.
Did you get her to sing?
I did not sing, and she did not sing. At least there was a microphone there. I gave a brief thank you to everybody, and I had a single candle with me for them to sing "Happy Birthday." So, because that's all I had in the house was one candle, so I brought it with me, and
that's great.
Yeah, it was good times. But a delicious
awesome.
Buttercream iced vanilla pound cake.
There we go. So awesome. Well, I guess it's time to kick off this episode. Now, JT, are we going to the mailbag, or is there a contest to read the mailbag, or how are we doing this?
We're keeping it normal. I got some mailbag stuff, and then we'll get right into the episode. But yeah, I just figured I'd lose my voice before the end of the night, so why not? You know. So yeah, we had some here, and actually a number of these you guys actually have already replied to, so this should be a nice, easy mailbag tonight. But our first one here is from Holly, and Holly was responded to by Hal, but Holly says, "Hi guys, I love the show. Thanks for all you do to help me relive my early days as a Disney fanatic. Your episodes bring back so many great memories." Holly wanted to share with us a computer mishap because our last episode 90 was all about computers. And she wanted to say there was a fail in the mid to late 90s where they arrived late around midnight at the Polynesian. Despite their exhaustion, they were ecstatic to be there. Scanned their room key, they opened the door and they walked in the room. They got as far as the bathroom and they stopped, sensing something was amiss. Her father nudged her into the room further, telling me to keep moving when he too realized why I stopped. In the bathroom, there were used towels and swimsuits drying on the hooks, toiletries strewn across the counter. With just a light from the hallway, you could fairly see open suitcase, discarded pillows on the floor. There were guests fast asleep in their room. We hightailed it as fast as we could out of the room and quietly shut the door behind us. I'd love to know if the people even know that this happened to them. The bell service attendants that had escorted us to the room were mortified and called the front desk as quickly as they could and proceeded to yell, "I don't care what your damn computer says, there are people asleep in that room." Apparently their system didn't recognize the room they'd assigned for us was still in use. We still joke about it to this day and wonder what the conversations were like in the family the next morning. "Honey, I had the strangest dream. People were in our room." And she did ask about a photo. They tried to recreate, people do this move where they take an old family photo and they organize it, and she was trying to get it just right and couldn't. I think they had the bench lined up in Germany, they had the shoreline lagoon lined up, and they couldn't get it to match right. She's asking, "Do you think our memory's skewed and the original picture was not taken in Germany like we thought? Or would it be the film camera versus cell phone difference?" And how did writer on this one? So how do you want to tell us your opinion?
Yeah, so it was interesting because they lined up the shot exactly the same, but Spaceship Earth and some of the other like land masses in the background looked much, much closer than in the photo that they took. And so I found some examples of different focal lengths and different sizes of lenses. So I think their first shot was with like a 28 millimeter lens. And then the second one was with maybe like a 35 or a 40 millimeter lens. And the difference in those lenses like really does make a huge difference in like how close the background looks to you. So it was really interesting. We were able to I had found a photo on like a diagram online of like different lenses with different focal lengths next to each other taking the same picture, and you can see, sure enough, depending on the focal length of the lens, it makes the background look much closer or much farther away. So it was just a difference in the cameras at the time, but they did manage to locate the exact same bench that they had taken their picture on way back in the 80s. So that was really neat.
All right. Thanks, Holly. Appreciate that.
I want to ask, has anybody else ever had the experience of opening the door to find an occupied room?
I have not, and I have not been walked in on either. So that's
I
good.
have had. I don't remember if we've ever come into an occupied room. It's possible, and you forget in 30 years of travel. But I do remember more than one time being issued keys to a room and getting to it, and the key's not working.
Sure.
And being extremely perturbed. Because especially at some of those Disney or Vegas resorts where you'd have to like just hike,
Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, hike back to the front desk and, oh, I'm so sorry. And I had one where it happened twice and at Disney, and they had to send the guy to replace the battery and the RFID thing in the door. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, just give me a key so I can open the door.
It's horrible.
I had one where I had to walk from Caribbean Beach, like one of the far pods, like back to the front again. Oh, Jesus, that was terrible.
I know. I feel like at some of those resorts, if that happens, your first night should be free because it's such a hassle. Like all you want to do is just offload your stuff.
100%.
Just be done. Yep. And okay, I want to just get this part done of the trip. Okay, next up is Noah. Noah, you're up here. He says, hey guys, love the podcast. I'm a younger listener, so I really do enjoy going back and hearing about stuff that I either faintly remember was way before my time. Anyway, my question was regarding the dining reservation system on the World Key kiosks throughout EPCOT. I was watching a home video where a guest tried to make a dining reservation, and after a brief moment, the kiosk would connect to a video live stream of a cast member who would answer your questions and assist in your reservations. My question is, how did this system work? And as he understands, it ran off Laserdisc. And where were the cast members typically located? Were they off-site or someplace in the park? Thanks for your help and keep up the great work. Brian, you actually wrote back to Noah.
What did I say?
Brian said the cast members sat behind computer desks with cameras trained on them, so when you wanted to make a dining reservation or needed other live real-time info, you'd be connected to one of these operators. And Brian supplied a picture here that's from our website. They were housed in what is now the Guest Relations building in EPCOT, which has been heavily modified since their time there. And then a bank of World Key kiosks were located just outside Guest Relations. All the bones of the former World Key spots were moved during the recent renovation to that building.
Yeah, they dramatically altered it during the most recent.
Can we have a guess? How many were there of those people, those attendants? Because, I mean, like, theoretically, like, you guys know how many World Key stations were there. How many people at one time could feasibly hit dining reservation?
Was there a waiting period? Like, did you have to wait sometimes?
My guess would be no more than half a dozen maximum, because most of the World Key information was Laserdisc pre-recorded stuff. Yeah. So my guess would be no more than half a dozen. That would be my guess.
And then she would, I assume, get on that little computer that's sitting there, and that's how she'd make the dining reservation.
You'd see her face would come up. Like when you see Captain Picard talking to somebody at Starfleet headquarters on his little monitor, and or on Zoom now with us, and you'd say like, "Oh, I'd like to have dinner in Germany tonight."
Again, this goes
Certainly,
back to,
sir. Let me see if I can arrange that for you.
This was an opening day attraction at EPCOT?
Yes.
Or pretty close?
Yeah.
So we're doing this in 1982.
Right.
You know how easy it would be to do that now? And granted, they'd have to pay people, but like you could do it on the Disney app, like to make a dining reservation. I need help. Like, pop it up. And
I had to do it to go through the disability service last time. I had to have a Zoom interview with somebody.
I mean, it just seems so easy to have that, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's so universal. You still call a telephone number in order to make dining reservations. There is no computer system that does it yet.
Really?
Yeah. So you call a phone number and a person talks to you and they're like, oh yeah, we can get you into this place at this time.
I like that. I like that. I like talking to people.
Yeah. It makes it easy.
And then if something's you.
And then if the thing that you want is booked, they can offer an alternative without you having to go start a search query again from the beginning. Right. I mean,
yeah. The Disney one now, I like that you're not even allowed to specify a time. You're just allowed to put a range in. Sometime between noon and 4. when what you really want is something for noon. And then it's showing you a bunch of availability at 3:55 p.m. at places. And you're like, oh, well, this is not helpful at all.
All right. Well, Noah, hopefully that gets you going there with World Key and the reservation system. It's pretty cool. That picture Brian sent you there, that's on our website. That's a neat one. I like seeing all the old equipment in there too. All right. Claudia from the UK wrote us. She heard her latest podcast where we were talking about unique listening locations. She wanted to tell us one. She's listening from the sunny island of Mallorca.
Spain.
There you go.
Mallorca.
Yeah, it's got the L's are silent. There's a J spelling of it. Yep. She listens to podcasts on holiday a lot. So she remembers last year I was in the French Alps and also caught you on her transatlantic flight from Orlando to Retro Magic.
I want to say the only reason I know how to pronounce that, by the way, is Ringo Starr's cover of the Hoyt Axton No 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 song.
A woman that I know just came from Mallorca, Spain. She smiled because I did not understand. Then she held out a 10-pound bag of cocaine. She said it was the finest in the land. And I said, no, 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 I don't, no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor.
Claudia's also listened well on the Eurostar to Disneyland Paris, well on a train to London, and of course, and just as exciting, while folding laundry at home in Milton Keynes. I'll go and listen to the rest of the episode now. Can't wait to learn about computers at Walt Disney World. I have some latent memories for sure.
I don't know.
Claudia, thank you for that.
I don't know if Claudia and I have ever talked about how many times I've been to Milton Keynes. I didn't know that's where she lived, but that's my friend who's in the UK that I have visited periodically is based in Milton Keynes. So I have been there, been to the Vaults Bar and had a cheese and chips roll.
All right. Here we go. Last one. Now, this one is going to, I feel, wet the whistle of all of you. This is a surprise one.
Wet our whistle.
Yes. And it relates to Brian's side quest he was on over his last trip at EPCOT, taking photos of doors and doorknobs and door jams and locks and key sets for How. This is from Elliot here. Elliot is writing about a potential secret lounge at the Magic Kingdom. And at first, Elliot, I kind of was like, this seems kind of too good to be true. But I'm going to read you what he said. Elliot and I went back and forth about some video on YouTube, and he wanted to pick our brain on this as well. His email basically says he's reaching out because of a question regarding what may be an extremely old lounge at Walt Disney World. This is not a hoax or anything like that. He has some background. His great-grandfather worked in the food industry and therefore frequently worked with the Florida citrus growers, Citrus World, now known as Florida's Natural. The company was the original sponsor of the Magic Kingdom Tiki Room, and they also happen to sell Donald Duck orange juice. Now, his dad over the years has told the story when on a Disney trip when he was around 4 years old. So this was about 1980. His family, including his grandparents, great-grandparents, and his dad, were led into a secret Florida citrus grower's office adjacent to the Enchanted Tiki Room building. Okay, next up. Sorry, he wrote me in, this is in teal, so I'm having a tough time reading his font here. His memory of this is faint, but claims that upon knocking on the Polynesian-themed door, likely adorned with cast members only, he entered a relatively small, windowless room with a desk, a lamp, a coffee table, literature, and some various seating like chairs and sofas. After all the adults talked for a bit, presumably because they were familiar with my great-grandfather, the whole party then exited the windowless office through a different door off to the side that led straight into the Tiki showroom, skipping the line in pre-show entirely. The only two surviving witnesses of this experience are his dad, who's certainly not the most reliable source, and his grandmother, who I just happen to be seeing in 2 weeks, and he's going to talk to her about this. So therefore, his question is there anyone or anything that corroborates the existence of the secret office on the Tiki Room premise? And if so, is it a Club 33 type lounge, a cast member training area, or is it just a closet now at this point?
If Hal doesn't know, I'll venture a guess.
Well, as it turns out, we know exactly where it was. I reached out on Twitter and actually got a couple of responses. Joshua Harris was kind enough to send us an actual diagram. So if you basically go past the pre-show, and now you're kind of walking down this long hallway up to the doors that actually open up to take you into the tiki room. The VIP room would have been on your left-hand side, and you could have accessed that in one of two ways. So when you walk right up to that space, there's actually like a hole in the fence between the backside of the waiting area and that wall. And so you can walk down a stone path and up into some doors that would take you into the VIP room that way. Or at one time, you could actually walk around the outside of the tiki room past the entrance, kind of like you're walking towards Pirates today. And there was a stone path that would take you through an orange grove out to that same outside patio area and to the door into it. And this is so fascinating. So there was a VIP room, and we've seen pictures from inside of the room that some cast members took when Richard Nixon came to visit. It was kind of like this elegant wooden paneled affair inside. But there was a terrace on the outside that was actually shaped like an orange with segments like cut in the ground. So when you walked out, it actually, like, if you looked down, it looked sort of like a cutaway of a segmented orange. You'd walk inside, and there was then this VIP room, and then there was also a juice bar attached, so that way you could get yourself some fresh orange juice too. And then there were, men's and women's bathrooms there as well. So you could walk inside, as we mentioned, and completely bypass the pre-show if you walk through the Orange Grove. And then there were doors that would take you out just before the doors that opened up that would actually take you into the show. So then it was just a quick walk out of that door and then into the 4 doors that open up to get you in the show. So you would have bypassed the line completely, which is pretty neat. Sometime in the 80s, after this was no longer sponsored by the Florida Orange Growers, these were converted into offices, and we have confirmation of that. So Ron, who is Gracie's butler on Twitter, told us that they are the Ad Lib offices, which I guess that's probably stands for Adventureland and Liberty Square. And same thing, you would walk up to the gate, go through a rope, and then you'd walk around the back to those offices. They may or may not have removed the patio area. So if there's any current cast members listening who have access to that area, and don't get yourself into trouble, but if you do happen to have access to that area, walk back there and let us know if there's still an orange-shaped patio in the back, because I find that so interesting. And so, yeah, there's the VIP lounge for you.
It's funny because when you started the conversation, JT, where I thought you were headed was the lounge in Tomorrowland, which
the RCA lounge.
Yeah, that then became the AAA lounge when AAA took over that sponsorship and had special parking area and Magic Kingdom stuff. And
wasn't that the one for GE from the Carousel of Progress? It was like around the back.
And now it is where Buzz Lightyear puts his costume on to come out and meet and greet people.
Well, it was the temporary baby center location for a minute there, because I changed a diaper back there and it was horrible.
When they redid the baby center and ripped out that fountain over on the other side of the park.
Yeah.
In front of the baby care center and first aid station, right outside of Casey's Corner. They temporarily used it as the baby care location, but that's another lounge in the Magic Kingdom that's been seen multiple uses over the years. So I had on this last trip, this is a complete aside, but on this last trip, I normally go to the left when I go into the tiki room and always sit in the back row because I'm very self-conscious about how tall I am and not blocking anybody's view sitting behind me. So I like to sit in the back.
You do take off your hat. So
I do.
Ladies, remove your chapeau.
Yes. So this time, knowing that there's talk of possible changes to that attraction now that they've finally gotten around to the bears, I said, you know what? And we were there the night Richard Sherman passed away. We diverted to the Magic Kingdom to go on all of the Sherman attractions there. And I said, I would like to go to the right and sit in the front row. And so that's what we did. We sat to the right, and I sat right under Fritz, I think. And it was really like a whole different show for me because I'm used to watching it from one side and one angle.
All right. Well, that's going to close up the mailbag. Thanks for writing. We'll continue to sift through these. We get lots of good stuff, whether it's a tweet, a Facebook message, or even an email. You can write us podcast@retrowdw.com. There's a chance you'll be on the show, and we do attempt to reply to as many as we can. So thank you so much for all the notes, memories, and questions.
Well, JT, it's time for our main topic tonight, and contest, something that we've always on and off run here at the Retro Disney World podcast. When I think contest at Walt Disney World, my mind immediately goes to the 15th anniversary, right? That was like one of the biggest things that they did, right? It was prime, almost peak EPCOT, and it was my second trip down there and my first time to EPCOT, and I just remember going through the turnstiles and winning a few things, which we can talk about later. But I am really excited because I went through some newspaper clippings. I've got some old ticket winnings from McDonald's here we'd love to go over and talk about. But JT, you've been very diligently going through all this and putting this show together. So what do we got? Where are we going to start?
Well, I first off, I want to thank Melanie. She was the one that suggested this idea to us. This was, she wrote us. It's a perfect example of somebody in the mailbag that ended up turning into an episode. So here we are, Melanie, and this one's for you. I dug into the psychology of a contest because I was curious, what's the reason? What's the why, as my son would say? And, the point of the contest is basically drum up some interest, some marketing, build hype, promote a product. And the big thing with a contest is it is cheap marketing to a certain extent. Like the people are doing the legwork by entering the contest. If it's an old school type where you're turning in all the forms and all the entries and things like that. This one was kind of surprising to me. Back in the day, before the internet, let's say that, 1980s, enter this contest in our newspaper for a free trip to Disney. That was a source of data for the company. They took that. They were like, these are the people that are all interested in you by entering that contest. And many times agreed to being on their mailing list and getting advertisements and things like that. And the other end is there's a deep psyche in this. People have a nature to be a winner that's just deep rooted in the humankind and or get something for free. So entering a contest feeds the chance of that. And winning a contest actually raises the oxytocin levels and happiness, even when people win small prizes. So you don't have to win big to have those levels of your brain go up. No. This does show if you win, or even you win the visor with a 9-volt battery, it takes your guest satisfaction just right up. Everybody's leaving. I mean, like you said, the 15th anniversary, that's the one that seems like so many people won something. And it just took people in it. Like, if 10 people won, you had 10 people that were overly happy that day, and they were already happy for the most part because they were in Disney World. And my other end of this is it really surprised me thinking about all the old MGM Studios shows and being quote unquote picked to be in the show. That made people feel like a winner too. And all those different facets of that park where it's I'm special. I won. This is exciting for me. I get to eat a pie in front of everybody or get pie in the face or whatever. So I did want to start with, though, I gave you guys some homework and I wanted to ask you if you've ever won a contest, anything big, small, or anything in between. I have an order here. I'm going to start with Brian, though. What have you ever won a contest?
Yes, more than once, but the one that I most remember. So there's a failing memory here, unless I'm confused about the product, and I don't think I'm confused about the product. But I thought it was in the late 90s. in the early years of the internet, only weirdos like me would go to corporate websites. So people used Amazon, eBay. I joined in 1999 and I was like an early adopter. But people were still on like AOL and, Google wasn't around yet. You used Yahoo in like the 90s. And so it was not like I was an oddball in that, like you'd be eating peanut butter crackers from Lance, and I'd be like, I wonder if Lance has a website. And I'd just go to the website and start looking at it. I still do that today.
Blue letters in a gray background.
Yeah. So I went on, I must have been drinking a Canada Dry ginger ale. And so sitting in my computer lair in my office back then, I went to the Canada Dry website. Yeah, I went to the Canada Dry website, and the Internet Archive confirms for me that Canada Dry had a coming soon thing on their website for like 4 years. So it seems like they did not go live until 2002, 2003. But my recollection was there was a contest that splashed up on their website. And in my head, I was like, how many people like me are actually going to these corporate websites and entering I'm going to enter this contest. And like anytime you enter a contest, you generally forget that you entered it. And 4, 6, 8 weeks later, whatever it was, I got a call on the telephone one day from a woman who said she was calling from Canada Dry and did I remember entering this contest? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, I wanted you to know you're our grand prize winner of this Sony High 8 video camera that
I still have it.
I am holding up the original box for.
Look at that.
Because I do still have the camcorder, the TRV 608. I Googled it thinking I was sure I had won this in 97, 98. They made this model in 2002. So I must have won it in, 2002.
It looks like one I sold at Best Buy, and that's about when I worked at Best Buy.
Yeah, and so when searching for this, because I was originally searching for 1998, apparently a precursor to this had a night vision that would make sheer clothing invisible when used. So
I remember that of it, yes.
So it was like a big controversy that Sony sold this camera that with the right settings, you could just see through. And so I found like a news clip that from Japanese TV that showed like, if you took it to a water park, you could just get a show all day long, which was amazing.
Yeah, they had to adjust the settings on that or something to night.
It was
Sony
the
night
IR
shot
was like too strong or something.
But it's so I still have the camcorder. It's actually at my office right now because I was digitizing some of the tapes at one point. But yeah, I still have it, and I won that, and I don't know. I'd have to go back to look what the retail value, but back then you probably know they were probably $1,000 or something like that. It was
it was in the $700-800 range.
It was a big
that.
win. Like it was a substantial win for the time.
Well, to make you feel better, Brian, I'm going to admit this live on the air. At that era in the late 90s, that's how new the internet was to me. I would go to a website like Canada Dry and thinking in my small mind how big the internet was, not thinking it was big, I would write down these websites on a Word document because I wanted to make my own log. Like, well, Canada Dry has a website. Yeah. I'm going to make sure I don't forget that.
And I'm going to make this search engine.
Pretty much what I was thinking. Like, I'd go through a magazine. I'd be like, oh, look at that company. They put a website on their ad. I'm going to write that down.
My gosh. You think we could have had Cougar, I could have had a Cougar.com email if you had been before Google.
I remember I had an intern working for me who went to college at Reed College in Portland, Oregon. And she would come home here in Pennsylvania for the summers, and she got hooked up with us sometime in the early 2000s. I don't remember what it was. She's the one who said, well, why don't you Google it? And I said, what the hell is that? I didn't know what it was. And she taught me. In fact, we had lunch last year. First time I'd seen her in like 20 years. And I told her, I'm like, you're the person who told me what Google was. Like, I didn't know what it was until you told me. Like, you kooky kid. And she was only, I don't know, like 8 years younger than me or something like that. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's, but you're absolutely right. And my neighbor at the house where I grew up, he was a computer buff. I remember him telling me about the first time he heard about a gigabyte hard drive, and that, like, you know, they were like $1 million back then. But Wayne told me about something. It's probably still out there somewhere. It was like some university created web roulette. And you would go to the web roulette, and he like wrote down the web address for me. And in the early days, you would go to there and just click, and it would send you to a random website on the internet. And he was so excited to tell me, he's like, I clicked it, and next thing I know, I'm looking at the art archives of the Vatican. And now none of us are flummoxed by that at all, but
no.
It blew
Brian,
in 1998. It blew Wayne's mind that he could see the art collection of the Vatican on the internet.
I do believe it started with http://. Now that's the one on the top. No, that's the one on the bottom of your keyboard. That's No, I want the one with the top leaning to the right. Remember that?
Because the web browsers didn't know to fill in. Like, you couldn't just put CanadaDry.com. You had to actually put the http:// You know.
And www stands for World Wide Web. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Wubba.
Todd, you're next. What's your contest if you've won something?
Well, I alluded to winning some things on the 15th anniversary, which we did. I think I won a visor, one of the light up visors. My mom won a one-day ticket, which we've mentioned before. My brother was the winner in the family, all this stuff. Like, we go down to the shore and he'd play the token slot machines. You know, he put the quarter in. And like one day he got like bar, and the thing spit out like a bazillion tokens, you know, and I was so jealous. And then like the next year, he signs up for this and wins a bike through like the Boy Scouts or something. He signs up for another thing for baseball. He wins a 6-pound chocolate bar. And I'm like, dude, can I get a break here? Can I win anything?
Break me off a piece of that 6-pound bar.
Bad bar. There you go. I like that. Nice jingle. So have I won? Yes, I have won some things on my own, but they were actually due to me involving myself in writing. So one of the things I did is after I went on my very first trip to Europe, I made a website that was called European Memoirs or something like that. And I wrote about all the days that we spent over in Europe and the different things we did and all that. And the tour company, Kentucky, got wind of it. And the first year they had this contest and I didn't win, but I entered it the second year and I won. And they gave me like $1,000 and another tour, which I never wound up turning in. And my website was published in their latest, you know, travel brochure or something like that. So that was pretty cool. And I also won some tickets on the radio once, you know, if you know this song and X notes dial, and it was Squeeze, Pulling Muscles from a Shell, and I got to go see Bruce Hornsby in Boston that night. I think it's like, yeah, you're going tonight.
Did he have the range with him, or was he just performing solo?
He was just with the piano. Okay. Yes, the range was not there. Actually, he had a refrigerator and a dishwasher, but the range was unavailable. So I'm sure there's some other little things that I've won now and then. You know, there's different things like that, but nothing huge or crazy. But yeah, those are the ones I've got. So
all right, How? What do you got for us?
All right, so like Todd, I remember I won a Future World pin. I think on the 15th when you would go through the
I might have gotten that too. You're picking my brain here.
Yeah, and then so that one, and I remember when The Little Mermaid came out. My local, I think it was an AMC, the theater had like a trivia contest where you could win a fish tank. And I ended up winning the fish tank.
Did it come with the fish?
No, it didn't come with the fish, oddly enough.
An empty fish tank.
You just got an empty fish tank with all this stuff.
That's funny.
Fish were optional. And then also the same thing with the radio contests. So I worked at a relatively small company. We made interactive CD-ROMs and touchscreens. So this would have been like 95. So this is before the invention of the cell phone. And we all had phones on our desks. Or there might have been like, I think actually I'll take that back. I think each sort of like room probably had like one phone in it. So that way if someone needed to get someone's, you know, they do the boop. Hey Bob, can you like come to this place? And so there was a contest on the radio that they would do like every day at like 4:10 or something, where they would play the first 3 seconds of a song. And then you would have to figure out what it was and then call in to try to win. And so we got to the point where we would have one person stationed at every phone. And there were probably 2 or 3 of us that were really good at that kind of music trivia. It was like one of those stations that this is back when if you worked in a small office, like they would just turn on the radio all day long and just leave it playing for like everybody to hear. So in the afternoons, it's like it was on one of those like radio stations where it would play like the 70s like soft rock hits all day long. And so it would come time for the trivia, and then like there would be one person at like 3 phones, and as soon as someone figured out what the answer was, you'd yell it out, and then people would start dialing.
You were going to share the prize, right? Yeah.
Right. And well, that's the thing we did. We ended up winning like multiple things. It's like, I remember we won tickets like for 4 or 8 or something to Busch Gardens when they opened Montu. And so a bunch of us went to that. But the funny thing was, because this was back when, you know, these were physical lines on the phone. And so we did this probably for like a month and a half or so. And then one day, the big boss owner of the company tried to get a line out exactly at the same time that the trivia contest was, and he couldn't do it. And he was like, he came out as like, "What is going on?" It's like, I can't get a line out.
Do you remember those old
And
phones with
like,
the push buttons on it and that would light up with the red one and the clear ones?
Oh, exactly. So we maybe had like 4 lines in the office. And so when we did that, we used up all the lines. And then we all got yelled at and in trouble because people couldn't call in and like nobody could call out. And that was the end of our like radio trivia.
That's funny.
I mean, I guess I did win a couple radio call-ins. I know I won tickets to see Procol Harum, Whiter Shade of Pale, that I gave to an office mate. I won $100 Christmas cash.
Oh,
they said Oldies 98 used to play Christmas music every year. Now it's Classic Hits 98 or something like that. I forget that, but they play like U2 music now. It's like 80s is like as old as they get. All the 50s, 60s, and 70s is gone. But it's old as 98. So they would do like $98 in cold Christmas cash. I have a recording of it somewhere, but it was actually $100 gift card. And I played along like the guy. It was a couple of years ago. The guy's like, "Hey, you're our 9th caller." I'm like, you just made my Christmas." My friend Alex is laughing at me. He's like, $100 made your Christmas. Like you say. But I remember going down you had to go down and pick up the gift card in person. And I won a pair of tickets to see Elton John, I think it was.
That's decent.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when Ticketmaster was affordable, and it didn't. You actually had to go down there and get. Yeah, no,
I called in, and I did have to. I drove to the radio station again to pick. You had to go in and like show them a driver's license to pick up the tickets. But,
well, we also reached out to Jason, our webmaster. Jason Bartel. He actually won a sales contest when he was back in school, which the prize was $50. And he says he did spend that $50 on a Knight Rider RC car at Service Merchandise.
He had to wait for it to come up the conveyor belt.
I like that.
So that was Jason's. And I had a couple things to contribute. At one point, I won, I feel like it was like a Little League contest. I won some Cleveland Indians baseball tickets.
Nice. All right.
4 of those. And I did win tickets on the radio one time to the IX Indoor Amusement Park, which is in Cleveland at the International Exposition Center. So, but we always joke in our family we're the sorry you're not a winner family, because that's usually the response we get with any of this stuff. I did want to remind our listeners, if you are looking to be a winner, we are going to give away our Hidden History of Disney book at the end of this episode. So keep listening, and we will tell you who the winner is here at the end. We reached out to some listeners, and I got some feedback via the socials and things like that. And I wanted to run through some of our listener wins, and some of these are pretty fun. The first one was from Keith. You guys all know Keith from Hawaii. Keith was involved in a Go to Disney contest in the 80s. He worked for the Denver Post, and him and his fellow paper boys, they ganged up on the system. I'm just imagining some, like Newsies. We're gonna soak them, boys. Like that whole thing. And so they gamed the system to win, and they did win. They went to Disney World on an Eastern Airlines flight from May 3rd. Eastern Airlines, to May 3rd to May 6th, 1984. They did Magic Kingdom and Epcot, and they even did River Country. And this shows the era that Keith actually got to carry his Frontierland musket on the plane ride home in the front seat of the plane there.
Just holding it and sweating as you're sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't take the plane with that. I did find an article. This is news to Keith here. I found another kid on our newspaper account from roughly that same era. He also won a newspaper contest. He was a paper boy and delivered enough papers to win a trip to Disney. So it must have been a kind of common thing here. Next up was Donna. Donna says her sister won a trip to Disney in the 90s and was allowed to stay at any hotel. Of course, she picked the Grand Floridian because it was brand new and expensive. Jared. We know Jared. Jared wrote us. He is he was the big winner at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And we have his swag we showcase at the different events and stuff. But he did win a Disney cruise playing Star Wars, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And speaking of important prizes, Jared was our first audio puzzler winner back in the day.
Oh, really? Look at that. Look, you've got the contest connection and history here. I love it.
Synergy. Yeah. Christopher, this is a fun one. If you guys recall, Epcot and Fort Wilderness, I don't know if it was elsewhere, they used to have a tour where you'd ride around on Segways. Did any of you guys do this?
I never got to do it, but I know exactly what they're talking about.
I remember them zipping by me at times.
Bumping into you.
They did an off-roady one at Fort Wilderness and then the World Showcase, or it might have been just Future World, I don't know. But anyways, Christopher's parents were, now this it wasn't necessarily the prize here that blows my mind, but this number, his parents were the 10,000th guest to do that Segway tour. I figured only like 50
I was going to say, that doesn't even sound like something they would keep a, track of.
Well, they did, and his parents won a Segway for that tour. They got a
no way.
Wow. They were given a red Segway, two-wheel scooter is their prize for doing that. And helmets with mouse ears, he says. So it was a whole thing. And Christopher, I did look you up. I found on an old Disney board you were talking about this. I was trying to find any info, and I found him posting about it years ago, like 2005-ish era. Cool. So I will. I'd love to see that Segway though. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
I'll just mention that I was too fat to get a weight limit on the Segway tour. It was like 250 pounds, and I haven't weighed 250 pounds since I was in like the 11th grade. So,
well, darn. All right. Next up, we have at Boots173 wrote us a Disneyland prize. He got a watch for the 50th anniversary, and he still has it. Or he or she, I'm not sure who Boots is. Bobby, 15th anniversary, Todd.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Bobby, living in South Florida, had annual passes for a long time, so they visit a lot. They won several visors, pins, and Discovery Island and River Country tickets.
Excellent. Yeah, the Discovery Island and River Country ones, those were given out like constantly. They were given out a lot.
They just wanted people to go.
That in the pin. Yeah. Yeah, they just wanted to please fill in the spot.
Please go look at the birds on the island.
That's right.
They should do that as a contest now to control park capacity. Hey, guess what? You got a ticket to Typhoon Lagoon. Get your swim trunks and leave.
You have to leave. If you win, you have to go.
Yeah. Scott wrote us here. He said during the Year of a Million Dreams, he won Dream Fast Passes, pin lanyards, and Mickey ears. And during the 15th anniversary, he won a World Showcase pin And he also won a Lego Black Pearl from a Pirates of the Caribbean DVD sweepstakes.
Nice.
2 more here of our listener submissions. Hung Throttle Podcast wrote us, and they still have their Year of a Million Dreams Mickey ears. And Alex wrote us, his friend's dad from Chicago won a radio contest for a trip to Walt Disney World back in 2007. It was a week trip that included accommodations to the Grand Floridian and about 8 tickets for a week. Now, we've hinted on this in various episodes. We've talked about it, but one of the biggest prizes Disney has ever given away is during the Year of a Million Dreams. It is the stay in the castle. And we know they offered a lot of prizes through that, but we put the feelers out to see if anybody experienced this. And we did find a couple people. We're going to connect with Ian here. Ian is actually from EPCOT, which I've been on EPCOT. Todd's been on EPCOT years ago.
That's where we got our start, actually.
Yeah, I heard Todd on there, and then I called him and just begged him to let me join his quest. So Ian is sitting here with us today. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, JT.
Yeah, and Ian's going to give us the first hand, which I've never had one of these, of how he got to stay in the castle, where he was, what he was doing, who he begged, anything like that. And we're gonna hear this, what happened. So we'll let you go, and then if we have questions or we'll chime in, obviously.
Yeah, sure, fire away. Yeah. So the interesting thing about the Year of a Million Dreams was it was one of the few times when you didn't have to beg or pay huge sums of money to get something from Disney. So actually, if the whole point of that promotion was to get people to go to the parks a lot, it worked for us because I think we went 6 or 7 times in the 2 years that promo was running. So one of those things where very weird, like lots of things went wrong that morning that ended up, turning into things that had gone right. We were originally going to go to EPCOT, and then at the last minute we switched to Animal Kingdom, and we were meeting friends and they were late. So we switched the order of the rides that we were going to do. So we got on Everest and, we take a spin and we pull back into the station. And, if anybody who went knew what was going on, you always kept an eye out for the Dream Team. So when we pulled into the station, I looked over and, the Dream Team standing there. And I said to my wife, I was like, oh, maybe we won something. And it was a little weird because they were looking right at me. And I was like, maybe we did win something. So I got off and this woman walks right up to me, introduces herself. She says, hey, I'm Sarah. I'm from the Dream Team. She, are you familiar with? Yeah, I'm familiar. So she said, well, you've won something. Now, by this point, I had already won a couple of fast passes and I think we won mouse ears. So I sort of knew okay, we won something bigger because there was 4 people there with and they didn't have them in. So I was like, all right, cool. So we go off and get our kids and we go back into the store there at the exit of Everest. And they set up this little mini DVD player, which will tell you how long ago it was, I guess.
Yeah, really.
iPad, but they had this little crappy mini deal. Can I say crappy? Sorry, lousy.
Sure. Yeah, you're fine.
DVD player, and they couldn't get it to work. It was all freezing and skipping and everything. Anyway, they fired up and it says, "Yeah, you won a night in the castle suite." So of course we went, nuts. So I'll fast forward. We had to sign a bunch of paperwork and all that stuff, but they let us. They drove us back to our hotel. Believe it or not, we were staying at Pop Century at that trip. So talk about
that's an upgrade.
A bit of big upgrade. Yeah.
So, they drive us back. We get our stuff. We got to be grand marshals in the parade, which was really cool. I actually sent JT a pic. There's a big sign on the side of the Main Street, little the buggy car that they drive around, Castle Suite winners. And we got to be the marshals in the parade. And then but the best part for me was that they actually gave us a VIP tour guide. So for the rest of that day, we got to Magic Kingdom at I guess, a little before 3. For the rest of that day, we had a VIP tour guide. So we just got whatever we wanted, front of the ride access for anything. They took us in the back door, walked right on. We were can we have a bottle of water? Somebody ran off and fetched us a bottle of water. It was really great. But then they go into the castle, kind of where the pass through is there. And there's a little door on the right, as it's the second door on the right, I think, as you walk in. And they unlock it and, you go in and there's really, pretty fancy, lobby area with an elevator. And so then, they call the elevator, and of course they make a big production out of it. My daughter had to like sprinkle pixie dust or something, and then the elevator shows up. And so, they took us up. I mean, the suite itself is it's exactly like what you would expect, right? It looks like it belongs inside Cinderella's castle. It's like all ornate wood, and like there's a lot of little touches, like, Cinderella's glass slipper is there, and there's, all that kind of stuff. So it was really cool being in there. Again, for me, the coolest part was just being able to roam around the parks, at will and kind of ride anything I wanted to. That was really special. We got VIP viewing for Spectrum Magic, and I think it was Wishes at the time. We got, a complimentary dinner in Cinderella's castle that was really fancy. So it was pretty great. I mean, it was as good as you would think it would be. I mean, it was definitely a highlight. I mean, I've been going to the park since '74, and I think it is number one on my list of cool stuff that's happened to me there.
Did they tell you, what were you not allowed to do? That's what I always wondered. Like, what were the no-nos of that?
So actually, it is a little like being in jail, right? Like, so they were like, look, you can stay in the park until we sweep the absolute, because I'm sure you guys know this, but like the park might close at 11, but a lot of times it takes them an hour and a half to get everybody out. So They said, you can stay in the park, as long as you want until the last guest is swept. But once that happens, they radioed our guide, and they were like, okay, you got to go in the suite. And once you went in, I mean, they locked the door and you were in there for the night. You could not leave. You had to stay there until the next morning. So now it was really cool because, I sat out and watched. I mean, Magic Kingdom at night looks like Manhattan. I mean, they light it up and there's trucks driving all over the place, with cast members delivering food and emptying it now. So that was really cool, getting to see kind of behind the scenes what it looks like after dark when the park closes. But yeah, the big rule was you can't leave the suite once you go back in it.
So it's safe to say, we're not getting a visual here. You showered in Cinderella's castle.
I did shower in Cinderella's castle. Yeah. and actually it's really, I mean, they had like a really big tub. My son was actually a baby, and my oldest daughter she was 6. So she was like prime princess age. So she was in a big bathtub with and there's above the thing, there's like a star field there that looks like, like you're looking out the roof. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I showered in Cinderella's castle.
Well, a lot of us, with the 4 of us, we drank out of the drinking fountain in Spaceship Earth. So just saying, we're going to compare
a little. The super cold.
You're going to one up me. What am I going to do? I can't talk that.
Now,
we didn't get to use the toilet, though.
Yeah, that is true. We didn't use the toilet. They said don't use balcony. It. No balcony.
I was hoping there would be. I thought that would be really cool if I could walk out in the balcony and wave to people. But yeah, no balcony.
Crazy. That's not.
Just for context, because I don't like to assume everybody knows what the Year of a Million Dreams was. So the Year of a Million Dreams ran from October 1, 2006 to December 31st, 2008, because Disney years are 18 months or more. And that was to mark Walt Disney World's 35th anniversary. And so, as Ian described, there were the prize patrol, like Publishers
the dream team.
The dream team would roam around the parks. I kind of remember their uniforms were kind of silver, I feel like it was
blue and silver. Yeah.
Blue and silver, yeah. And so I had one experience with it. We were walking into One Man's Dream, which is called what now over at the studios? It's got another name.
Walt Disney Presents now.
There it is.
There you go.
But since the Walt Disney's 100th birthday in 2001, it was called One Man's Dream over in the studios. And we walked in to that, right to the entrance door, and there was a Dream Team member standing there, and they wouldn't let us go any further. They just said, could you please hold on? And then I guess about a dozen people came in, and then they closed the door for a moment to stop letting people in, and told the dozen of us that we had won the Super Fast Pass. And that was really like the best park to win the Super Fast Pass in, because you had the Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror. There was at least one other. Star Tours back then used to have a long line.
Yeah, Tour Mania was open then, I think.
It was, yes. Yeah. And so you had and it was a small park, didn't have a lot of rides. So it was like the best park to get and the fast pass was a lanyard, and it had literally little nubs you ripped, like you tore off as you used each one for the rides. So I
still have some.
I think I came home with I think the Muppet Vision one was still intact when I got home. I don't know if I still have it or not. We actually won them
one time the last day. Like we were leaving the park and we won them. So I have like 4 of them that are like unpulled, like pristine,
I wonder if they're still good.
Yeah, that's what my said that same thing today. Like show up and see if they'll let us on.
Yeah, be like, hey man, it's supposed to be valid whenever.
Well, you somehow convert it to a lightning lane, and then it converts to a Genie Plus, and then you have to link it.
Yeah, now it's got cash value.
Yeah.
But back then,
cash them in. You're like, I don't want to go on. Can I just?
Yeah, you're charging $15 a person to get on here. I want $75 for this fast pass.
Yeah.
Ian, do you know why they chose you? Did they say anything about that?
So I asked that question. So the way that it worked, from what they told me, there was literally a computer. And it randomly spit out like locations and times. And then they went to that location, and then there was some random generator that told them what prize to give out. So I was in the exact right seat on the exact right train at Everest at the exact right time. So that's how it worked. It spit out a thing that said like, 4th row, 2nd seat, this train, they won a night in the castle.
JT, that's just like the computer you used to do all of our prizes years ago, right?
It reminds me of that show Person of Interest, where the computer spits out the social security number of the person who is somehow crucial to something happening.
Boy, what a computer. Like, I would love to know we need that for our Computers at Disney episode. Like, how did they just program them in and it was a randomizer? Like, that's crazy.
It's a guy
they probably found some randomizer on some website somewhere. I don't know. It was a well-controlled promotion. So I'm sure that there was probably some money spent on building
contact the Florida Lottery Commission and just use their machines for a little bit.
I do love the portable DVD player, which I used to fly with and travel with at that time, and that it didn't run right.
Who was on the was it Stacy or somebody else on the DVD?
No, it was actually like there was just a voiceover. There was no character. It was just like, and it was actually like really low budget too. It had like these really bad like white, standard like title slides and everything. It was
almost like Star Cruiser, right? You could see the outlets in the background when they announced that. Remember that?
It looked like something like a high school class made. It was pretty bad. And like I said, it just kept skipping, and like, in fact, it got to it said you have won, and then it froze. And I was like, because like, you got to remember, there, like, Castle Suite's a great prize, don't get me wrong, but there were one of the prizes was like a visit to every Disney theme park in the world. One was like a DVC membership. So there was a lot on the line. I was like, what did I win? Like, I want to know now.
All right, I got some logistical questions. So you're over at Pop Century. So what'd you do? Rush in there and, pack your sleepies for the night, and like your like, that's kind of, did they courtesy bus it over and the courtesy bus it back for you, or did you have to schlep it?
No. So they drove us over in one of their Suburbans, and they waited for us. We went in, packed the bag, came out. The bag stayed in the Suburban. We went off into the park, and they spirited the bags, backstage or wherever they took them and took them up to the suite for us. So they were waiting for us there. When we got back to the suite. We actually went to the suite, I think, right after the parade was like when we went there just to kind of check it out. And then after that, they turned us loose in the parks.
Too bad you had to cancel your reservation for the food court that night at Pop Century.
Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I can't remember if I put this in my write-up or not, JT, but we had, I don't remember where, but we had like a hard to get dinner reservation that night. I think it was like somewhere in EPCOT. And I was like, I don't want, and I'm like, not that I care, but like, and they were like, oh, it's okay, we'll move it for you. So they called and like moved it for us to it was, I can't remember where it was, but we had to like fight really hard to get that reservation, and they took care of it. So that's definitely awesome. Gave us like the full on VIP treatment, which was really neat.
JT, one of the prizes that they gave away when they were promoting it was to the Spangler family from Ohio. They got the Magic Kingdom to themselves. So after hours, they had a VIP tour of each land and enjoyed the attractions as Disney characters greeted them.
Wow. I wonder if they picked wrong. Like I've done this at school. Like, I'll have a first grader like, hey, I need you to read this on this video. We're making a tribute to the veterans, and the kid just freezes up. And I'm like, yeah, I picked wrong. Like this kid can't. So like, I just imagine they go up to like a family that doesn't speak English, and they're like, no habla, we don't know what you're saying. Like, I mean, that had to happen at least once, but because if it was so random.
Well, I was thinking too, like, what if they picked me for that on like the last day of my trip, and I was flying out, like I'd have been like
that night or something. Yeah.
Just figured out how to get home the next day.
Here's a Mickey Ice Pop. You're good. Well, thanks.
Yeah, right. Oh, the consolation prize.
Well, that's awesome. You guys, any other questions or anything you want to know about the castle suite? Here's your chance.
So was the bed comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it's standard Disney hotel bed, nothing fancy.
Oh, okay.
My question is, was there like a mini bar up there for you guys to snack from? Or?
There was not, but we had an attendant. So like anything we wanted, we just, push 0 on the phone, or I think it was actually like a big C for Cinderella, and they just, whatever we wanted kind of shit.
3 a.m. I want some chicken fingers.
Yeah, I just would have ordered something at 3 a.m.
That is interesting. Yeah. Did you try anything? You were like, let's see, like, if they'll bring me a Diet Coke at midnight, because I have one every night or something.
I don't remember.
Because you had a baby. I mean, that's kind of messy, right? You had a baby. I mean, did you have to take the pack and play? Did you?
Yeah, we did have to. They brought a pack and play up for us. They did, because he was only.
There's a diaper genie in the castle.
This was April. He was born in November, so he was only like 6 months old. So
wow.
We had a pack and play in the castle.
That's crazy.
Yeah, actually, too. Like he had he needed like formula and stuff too. So like they like actually brought us bottles of water that we could use to mix formula, because Central Florida waters.
I'm assuming they arranged breakfast for you too. Was that part of?
We got breakfast at Crystal Palace.
Okay,
nice.
But it was a little bit like unceremonious that we like came out of the
like they dumped you off,
and they're like, "All right, peace." Like. We were like, is that it? Like
the fun's over. We gotta reset for today.
We have 999,000 other dreams to do. You're just done.
They definitely were. Our dream was over at 9 a.m. That was it. Dream over. Yeah,
I equate it to the sleepover at a friend's house. You don't really know when it ends. You're like, well, is she cooking me breakfast, or should I call my mom to pick me up? Like, how does this end?
Oh man, that's awesome.
Cool. I mean, all joking aside, it was really amazing. They definitely. That was probably the coolest promotion I think they've ever done.
That's great. That's awesome.
I know them. People another family who was picked to sleep in the castle, and the story was that it was a mother and daughter who had gone on the trip sometime within a year of losing their father to cancer. And I have always believed, Disney's explanation to you notwithstanding, that in that case, it's just too coincidental that they were picked on this particular getting over losing dad trip to stay there. I feel like somebody made a call and said, kids, there's something special you can do for these people. And if that's the case, it's wonderful that Disney did that for them,
Yeah, agreed.
For sure.
So I guess it's been long enough now I can admit this. I don't think Disney will come after me for this, but I did. So they had like the towels in the Actually, the other thing I have that's really cool. I should have brought some of this stuff to show you guys. I dropped the ball on that one. Remember when they used to give you the little plastic keys, for your room? They were
This was pre-Magic Band.
I have 2 of those that say Cinderella Castle Suite on it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's neat.
And then the other thing that I did, which I wasn't supposed to, but I did it anyway. They had like these the bath towels in the suite were monogrammed with the C, for Cinderella. And I did spirit one of those away, so it's sitting upstairs in my linen closet.
I'm sure they expected everyone to take one, so they probably had many.
Disney, not 2. So
yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. So I do have a couple of really neat souvenirs from that.
And just for the record, they will still give you plastic keys, because I had one at All-Star. Really? Yeah, at All-Star Sports where I was a few weeks ago.
So I don't know. I mean, like I always kept ours. Like I have a stack of them this high that we kept. So from all of our trips, I thought that was kind of cool because, you can go back and see.
Was it a different background on the key?
Yeah, they were usually either like blue, purple, or I think green. These were like kind of whitish yellow.
Yeah. Now they're just generic looking. They look almost like an annual pass now.
Oh, yeah.
But they just,
I used to like the, when because it had the dates of your stay. It didn't tell you what resort. It had the dates.
Had the dates and then the identifier number on it and everything. I do have a stack of them in the drawer for some reason.
I don't know why I have them either, but
Well, the funny thing was my friend Rob used to book the rooms a lot of the time. So all the room keys would have his name on it. So I'd be walking around with a room key with somebody else's name on it.
Very cool. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Cool experience. Yeah, happy to do it. All right, I'm going to let you go and finish up your podcast.
All right, thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. Appreciate it.
Care.
So the next thing I wanted to do is we've scoured the internets and we've looked around at various print ads. I mean, I've even gone as far as finding old magazines and been saving these over the years for just a lot of things where it is a contest involving Walt Disney World. After hearing from Ian there, we know that they Disney gives a lot of things away, but there is many other, we'll say contests to drum up interest and things like that. I wanted to start with, and this is kind of one that's made the rounds a lot. You guys know this. How long was Cow-Can Pet Foods involved with Disney? Quite a while in the 70s, right? Like they were the Kennel Club and they did all that stuff.
Most of those sponsorship deals were at least 10 years and then subject to renewal. And the only time they would ever change is like GAF, who was the photo sponsor, got out of the consumer camera and film business in 1977. So Polaroid came in for a little while until Kodak signed up with EPCOT. So most of them were an initial 10-year, 71 to 81, and then you started to see some changes in 5 or 10 year intervals.
Okay. Well, this one is by Cow-Can, and their big thing was, which I don't know at the era when it was, but I remember going in the late 80s, and that was always a big thing. We weren't big dog people, but we knew people that had dogs, and you could take your dog to Disney World and they would put it up in the kennel, which was right there at Fort Wilderness. At least I think that was the one for all of them. All the resorts was right there. And you could check on it. They had an area to play and, that whole thing. Well, they sponsored that, and their big promo here is bring your pets to Disney World. We'll house them, feed them, and care for them at the Cow-Can Kennel Club. And they had a contest of win a week at Walt Disney World and bring your pets. And it says, just tell us why you believe your pet's health would be benefited by a diet of Cow-Can. So a lot of these things you look back on and they're like, this says on a plain piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, print or type a story in 25 words or less about why you believe your pet's health would be benefited by a diet of Cow-Can pet food. Be sure to...
what goes in wet comes out wet, right?
Yeah, exactly. It says be sure to include your name and address. And this one is entries must be postmarked by January 5th, 1972. Entries will be judged on a basis of picturesque wording, theme, and this is an old blurry one, and no purchase required. So here's your first prize.
Go ahead.
No. Say you go ahead.
I really thought where you were heading with this was the first prize was just going to be that the kennel stay was free. That you had to get yourself to Walt Disney World in order to collect it. Like Fido won a week in Walt Disney World.
Bring him down.
Yeah, we got to pay to go.
Well, it's like, have you heard of that new airline, Bark?
No.
You book your dog on the airline, but all dogs can come with an adult, with a passenger for free, a human. But you're booking the dog, and you can book the dog without the human. They will fly dogs places.
Oh, what a mess!
It's just absolutely crazy. I'm dead serious.
How much are the flights, Todd? Maybe I'll hop aboard.
I don't know. Hold on.
They're $9 a seat.
Well, did we do a whole Cow-Can thing one time? Or did I just randomly look up Cow-Can one day because I was interested in it?
We've spoken about it a couple times, but I think you may have just looked it up because you're interested. But
the kennel was at the Ticket and Transportation Center.
Yeah. It was,
and then they built the one when they built the. Well, now it's across from the Port Orleans, the French Quarter.
What was the one at Fort Wilderness that was always there? Was that just for Fort Wilderness?
There was probably an additional one for Fort Wilderness because of the amount of people who, rolled up in their RVs with a dog in tow.
And that would have been so inconvenient to have to go to those.
Me and you and a dog named Boo,
That's interesting. I never considered that.
I think CalCan was like the California Can Company is how it started.
I mean, is that what it was?
I remember their pet food commercials, and they were big in the 70s.
Yeah, they were the first canned dog food company, as I recall.
Why not?
Oh, boy.
And part of that, I mean, Alpo was the other one, right? Alpo was big, but also too, I mean, there was in the late 80s, early 90s, there was the downfall of canned dog food.
Let's
and into the dry.
I guess if we're going into the deep dive, we should point out to people there was no such thing as dog food until like the 1960s. Like before that,
that's right.
They just ate table scraps. They ate whatever people didn't eat. And in fact, just last week they posted on the Harry Truman Presidential Library Twitter feed. They posted, the Trumans weren't big pet people, but they had a dog in the White House, and they had they said here there was like a typed up memo from like 1947 of what his diet was. And it was like a certain thing at breakfast time. And then his lunch was like a half pound of raw horse meat every day. Like that's what was prescribed for him. And I'm like, raw. Like, but then I like remember back today, people would throw those, it's funny now, but like they would get the bones from whatever the family dinner was, and like the dog would just gnaw what was left on the bone, and that was their meal. Like
you saw that in the cartoons. It was represented in the cartoons.
You just literally, they would eat table scraps or whatever people weren't eating, or whatever you could scrounge up for them.
Is this when the garbage disposal became a big hit too? When we invented dog food,
nobody had a garbage disposal back. They didn't even have electric refrigerators. They just
because they had dogs. That's it. They had
dogs. Yeah,
I mean, dogs just ate garbage.
The first prize for this contest is a 1-week Eastern Airlines vacation at Walt Disney World in Florida for a family of up to 4, including their cat or dog. Transportation, meals, hotel, and admission is included.
Now, what could be more delightful than bringing your cat on an airplane?
I know, right? On Eastern, too, mind you. Now, a lot of these, for a while, they tie in with Eastern, so that's going to be a no-brainer. Now, we do have 40 second prizes. So, again, everybody had to submit why they think their dog deserves CalCan. So somebody had to read these or leaf through them. But anyways, 40 families for second prize won a GAF Colt 84 Super 8 Zoom movie camera. We got 200.
Zoom was a big thing, so that was an expensive.
Oh yeah,
that was an expensive camera.
We got a 200 third prize winners. That's just a Mickey Mouse watch. 400 fourth prize winners get a GAF instant loading color camera, model 75. And finally, 1,000 fifth prize winners get a GAF Viewmaster stereo viewer. It includes 6 reels of assorted subjects. So you get a Viewmaster.
That was good using GAF, one of the other sponsors back then, like keep it in the family of sponsors there. That was smart.
Now, speaking of CalCan, we got another one here, and I'm going to wrap this up here. It says, doggies, win a free week at Walt Disney World for your master and his family. So the dog is winning. And
how is the dog supposed to read this in the magazine?
Well, nevertheless,
this is my only question.
Here's a great chance for you to take your whole family to Walt Disney World. Get mom or dad or even one of the kids to fill out the entry form below and send it along with 4 CalCan labels, and you could be one of 3 very lucky dogs who get to take their family to Disney World. The trip includes airfare plus an all-expense paid week for a family of 4 plus you, even though you don't get to see your family. 2 of these 3 trips include a special bonus for dads. 2 lucky dads with an established handicap under 19 will get. There's a lot of stipulations on this. You'll get a chance to play golf with the pros in the exciting Walt Disney World Pro-Am Golf Championship, November 28th to the 3rd, December 3rd. So while mom and the kids are having fun and discovering the wonderful land of fantasy, dad will have the fun of teaming up with some of the stars of the Canadian Open. And watch out, Here's what you get for dogs only: a week of leisure at the Cal Can Kennel Club, where you will be comfortably housed, lovingly cared for, and fed delicious, nutritional, you guessed it, Cal Can dog food. What if he didn't like it?
So I remember in the 90s, if you dropped your dog off, I think you had to give them food, like whatever the food was. Yeah, I don't think they provided the food. I think you had to bring the food with you.
Can you imagine flying down with a 40-pound bag?
I don't know. Maybe they had some for sale, whatever. Because to your point, JT, what if they're picky eaters and they're like, oh, I don't like Cal Can.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Now, I will say in the fine print, there's 100 consolation prizes of $8.
Like an $8 worth of Cal Can, or just like $8?
Like, couldn't you just round it up to 10?
It just says $8, approximate suggested retail. I guess that's...
Oh, so that probably means it's cans.
Yeah, it's probably like a case of dog food or something.
I was going to say, if you could round it up to 10, that would be nice. But
now, this one did include the accommodations which I've noticed a lot of these we're going to go through. They're not at Disney properties. They're like Hotel Plaza Boulevard, different things like that. This one does let you stay at the Polynesian. So,
oh, okay.
It's a big deal, that one. All right. Where do we want to go? Somebody threw a year at me, an era, and I'm going to read you a contest from that era.
1980, 81, 82.
All right. So we got one from 1982. This one was in the Chicago Tribune. Win a trip for 4 to the Walt Disney World Resort. Here's a Labor Day vacation made to order for a family of 4. 5 days and 4 nights at the exciting Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. This one, it includes, well, by the way, to enter, you just have to send in the coupon below. And should you win the big drawing, you and 3 others are entitled to round-trip airfare between Chicago and Orlando provided by Eastern Airlines. You get hotel accommodations, 1 room, mind you, at Hotel Royal Plaza. This is an interesting wording because they use this a couple times. Meals at the Walt Disney World Resort Complex. They don't just say Walt Disney World, they do a complex. Transportation between the airport and the complex, and between the complex and the hotel. And finally, admission and tickets to the Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom theme park. And finally,
which is in the complex.
It's in the complex. All entries must be received no later than midnight Wednesday, June 2nd. To qualify for the Chicago contest, winner will be notified by phone or mail. So that is a Chicago Tribune, Eastern Airlines, Hotel Royal Plaza, Walt Disney World Village Hotel Plaza promotion there. And they use that old Bay Lake image we used for the Lake and Lagoon tour. That nice one there. Now, I found this really fun one, and this ties in. I know some listeners are going to get a kick out of this one. And by the way, we'll upload these. We'll show you what we're going off of here into the show notes. This one, I have an era here about 1989. It's called Win Cool Prizes When You Blast Back with Mac. Now, Mac meaning Mac Tonight.
Oh.
Mac Tonight at McDonald's. They had a big push because McDonald's was open late. They were, the whole thing. He went into, what was his thing? He was into the old 50s music and doing that whole thing. Well, this perfectly tied in with the brand new Disney MGM Studios theme park. First off, the blast back meant that they were rolling back food prices with winning game stickers. So you could get at that era a 25-cent cheeseburger, 25-cent small fries, and 59-cent Big Macs. The other stuff, instant cash prizes, $100 to $1,000. Brian, they offered an RCA camcorder. You could win that. They also offered, well, we're rolling it back to the 50s, that era. You could have won a jukebox or opted for $5,000 cash, you're choosing.
Whoa, okay.
And another thing they had, which I think is comical, they offered classic cars, which is funny. They show an old Thunderbird here, which, I mean, they're definitely worth more than $25,000 now, but you could have gotten $25,000. Now, Todd's the math man here. If you get an old Thunderbird and you've had it since 1989 and it's worth, $75,000, or you banked that $25,000, I don't know what would have been the smarter investment.
I mean, wouldn't it have been worth? I don't think classic cars were really worth that much in 1989, right?
No, I was gonna say they're probably just you can't even call them classic. They were barely 25 years old. But even if they were, right? They weren't. You'd pick them up for 10 grand or 12 grand. Or something. You weren't paying 20. Like if I had the choice today, I'd be like, give me $25,000. It's like somebody giving you like, oh, you know what? I got a 2001 Nissan Pulsar. You know, like, oh, it's going to be a classic.
And what's
like,
interesting is I don't know how many of those they actually would have given away. They probably had a handful lined up. They were going to flip or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you chose the car, you were kind of,
Your
That
wife
is so
was not
funny,
speaking to
that
you on the
classic
ride
car.
home if you chose the car. What are we going to do with this thing? That's in your stupid box.
It's going to be worth millions. It's going to be worth millions.
Now, they also had a Sony Walkman prize, and that included rock and roll cassettes. Listen to
rock and roll.
Listen to top 50s tunes with a Sony Walkman cassette player and a commemorative rock and roll cassette collection. Now, here's the big one. Disney Family Vacations. Win a dream vacation package for 4 via Delta Airlines to the new Disney MGM Studios theme park at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. So, this was a win instant. For a limited time, every medium, large, or super-sized soft drink will feature a blast back with Max sticker. You just peel that sticker off to see what you won.
I wonder if those.
I mean, they still do some of those.
I wonder if those
peel away
gangsters stole the winning prize pieces like they did all the Monopoly ones.
Oh, the Monopoly.
Yeah.
That is a great story.
I was going to have that in my notes here to cite that because that was called McMillions, and it's a documentary you can watch. It's about the Monopoly scheme, and over the years, these guys, they had a scheme where they had the pull tags before they ended up on the cups, and they, people faked it at the McDonald's store to win a Viper and all that stuff. Like one of the counterfeiters was actually on like a commercial faking like he won.
Yeah, the guy,
amazing
the guy
story.
who worked for the company that printed the winning game pieces, and his job was to securely, like, he even had a companion, like a guy that flew with him to make sure that everything was on the up and up. And if I remember, because it was a few years ago, the documentary was like each flight he'd go to the bathroom once and swap out the winners for losers, so that the winning pieces were like all in his possession, and then he would recruit people. But it involved like New York organized crime families, and it was nuts. And then I read a fascinating take on it after the concluding episode, where someone's like, the government wasted millions of dollars investigating this. Like, who cares that they stole these prizes? And I'm like, I do. You know how many Big Macs I ate trying to win like $1 million?
Right, you're trying to win it. Yeah. And you never knew. You never had a chance.
I would have fit on that Segway if I hadn't tried to win all that stuff at McDonald's.
You should sue him. You could have won the red Segway. All right, so we got another one here. It's very interesting. Again, this was a scan. It's I found on the internet. It's from Sears in 1978, and it's announcing the Sears Pooh Zoo Collection Contest, May 15th to June 17th. This is another Delta promo, and the winner, it actually says 60 families of 4 will be awarded a 3-day weekend vacation at Walt Disney World for free. If your family is among them, you'll fly to Orlando via Delta Airlines, stay at the Contemporary Resort Hotel, and here's the kicker. You will have a personally guided tour of the Jungle Cruise, enjoying tennis, golf, boating, and all the adventures of the Magic Kingdom VIP style. So that wording is very weird, and so is the picture, because they...
Yeah, what was that first one? What style?
Personally, like poo, like personally, but with poo.
Okay.
But why would Pooh be guiding you on the Jungle Cruise? And there's a picture of Pooh riding with these people on the Jungle Cruise.
It's the best they could do.
So I gotta know, was that really what they meant? Like Pooh hopped on that boat and, he manned the pistol in that era and shot the hippo and everything? Or personally, what do you know about this? And I hope you were there, because I know you were around in this era.
Well, the thing you have to remember about Sears in the 1970s is that they had an exclusive lockup on Winnie the Pooh merchandise at Sears. So they had clothing with Pooh on it, as if like where the... like on the pocket where like the Izod alligator would be.
Yeah.
And they sold stuffed animals. It was a huge money-making endeavor for Sears. And in fact, as the later years went on with that relationship, like there was actually quite a bit of contention back and forth between the owners of Winnie the Pooh and how much money they were getting from that relationship, because Sears was just selling like tons and tons of Winnie the Pooh merchandise.
Actually, a few weeks ago at the flea market, I came across, I have a picture of it, a Winnie the Pooh lamp where he's holding a thing of balloons, and the huckster, they're trying to pitch it to me, had it marked for $25, and he said, these were sold by Sears. It's like from 1980 or 81. He said they were expensive when they were sold, like $65. And again, of course, all the catalogs are online.
Yeah,
I did go look it up. I don't remember if it was quite that expensive, but of course I looked on eBay to see what they were going for. And while I do not need a Winnie the Pooh holding a bunch of balloons lamp, the $25 he was asking for, he claimed it worked. It was actually a pretty good price, because it was in really good shape. And I don't want to say I regret not buying it, but it would have been a nice gift for someone along the way that, when they had a kid or something.
Yep.
I'm going to tie in with another Sears promotion, which I would love it if we had one of our listeners say this. When I was a child, this would have been early 90s, late 80s. Whenever E.T. was either released or re-released on VHS, Sears had a promotion there. And didn't you work at Sears, Hal?
No, I never worked at Sears.
Why do I think you did? I don't know. Anyways, my grandma did. And they had the Sears photo studio, and in the photo studio was just a bike set up with a background, and in the bike was the basket and E.T.
Oh.
And I remember, I didn't get my picture with E.T., but it was like a photo op, almost like it. I think they have that at Universal somewhere. They did.
They do, yeah, in the gift shop when you walk out.
It looked exactly like that to a certain extent, right there. And it was because I remember we got the ET VHS and it had the green bits on it to prevent counterfeit, because Steven Spielberg apparently liked that or something.
This was a Sears holiday promotion in 1991. The department store promoted their VHS release of E.T. with a truly unusual promotional event for one special Christmas. Kids got their Sears holiday picture taken not with Santa, but with E.T.
Yes. It was legit. So if you're out there and you have your photo with E.T., I'd love to see it. I just remember my grandma worked there, so you had a little bit of freedom to kind of peek around the corner and stuff. We were just hanging out. And I remember oh my God, there's E.T. sitting in the photo studio at Sears.
So they didn't release E.T. on video until 1988.
Was it that late?
Yeah, it came out in 82. It was not on video until 80. Of course, if you're like me, we all had bootleg copies.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had our bootleg copy in 19. So Sears had the exclusive rights for that. So Sears would run it annually on Thanksgiving Eve. And it was to promote their Black Friday sale the day after Thanksgiving. But they had so many ET copies that this was back a few years ago that they said they again, like Atari, they had so many copies of ET on VHS that when stores were closing in the 2010s, there was still stock of them.
Wow. I mean, yeah, because it's weird. Ours has green reels inside of it, the part that the tape wraps around, and then the flip up part on the back of the VHS is green too. And I remember Googling that, companies would do that to prevent a fake. You knew it was authentic if it had that on it. Okay, back to the contest. I have a fun radio contest. Now, this is from Indiana, Richmond, Indiana. And they posted a Mickey head on this. And in the Mickey head were people's full names. And it's weird because they're kind of cut off and you can't see all the names. But those are the qualifiers in the K96 McDonald's Coca-Cola Disney World contest. The winner will be drawn at the Disney World party Sunday, December 29th at 2 p.m. at the Quality Inn. Now, here's where the fun begins. Ronald McDonald will be there, plus there will be free cake and free Cokes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Just nothing else, just cake and Coke.
Cake and Coke, get the kids right up on the sugar.
Yes, exactly. This was 1991, so we know it's Coca-Cola Classic for sure.
Oh, yeah.
If you qualified, you could be the winner of a fabulous 5-day vacation to Walt Disney World, courtesy of McDonald's, Richmond Coca-Cola, and K96. And finally, you must be present to win. So they were going to have Ronald probably pull the name out and everything like that.
So is this when Coke got its relationship with Disney?
I don't know. It was December 26, 1991. This was in the thing, and they had the drawing December 29th.
So, JT, this is probably the best time then to bring up the McDonald's winning coupon. So Walt Disney World, I think what they did is they partnered with a lot of different places to do contests where you could win something instantly without having to send it away or wait for it to come in the mail. And I'm guessing on this. I can find no information on it. However, you guys have seen these. There is a lot of these vouchers that say contest winners. They come in a variety of different colors. This one's purple. I've got some blues. There's green. There was orange, I think. There's some horizontal ones and there's some vertical ones. Now, I think, and from what I read, and it's interesting too, because I have some that say 1979 on them. Some of them say 89. So I think these were different things that towns or corporations were running small contests, and they even came in like mini ticket books with like 2 or 3 attached. You would win instantly at McDonald's, and the manager would be like, "Oh yeah, you get out this ticket book and hand you, whatever you want." So just to give you an idea of what was on here, like this one's undated, but good for one choice of the following recreation adventure. At Fort Wilderness, you can go have a bike for 2 hours, a canoe for an hour, pedal boats. Half the stuff isn't even there anymore.
Wait, so you would just be at McDonald's in wherever?
There was some way to enter this, whether it was a pull tab or, something like that.
And you weren't necessarily going to be at Disney, but you could just randomly win a bike rental at Fort Wilderness.
Exactly, and you would get this coupon. So,
Mom, we got to go to Disney World.
Why?
Because I want
That's the hook. That's the hook.
But I mean, look at this here. Some of them is like a boat rental for an hour, like taking out the sunfish. Discovery Island excursion is on here from Fort Wilderness, or pedal boats at the Village. Then as they get later on, here's one in 1988. So it includes a 14-foot Hobie Cat, a water sprite, or a 14-foot Capri, an all-day canoe, not even 1 hour. Let's see, this one's from 1978.
All day.
Yeah.
The river's not that long.
No, you can have it all day. So they go on, and and the water sprites are on here. A Moonlight Cruise, Discovery Line. But then they also had these contest winners for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I have a breakfast one here, and a lunch and a dinner, so we can kind of get an idea. So you could have breakfast at, Contemporary Cafe, Crystal Palace, Tony's Town Square. I mean, it's got Port Orleans is on here, Caribbean Beach, Wilderness Lodge. So this is at least All-Star is on here. So this is the least, and ESPN Club. So this is the least into 96, 95, somewhere in there. Here's one that dates it. This is a free breakfast at the Papite Bay Veranda. So that was obviously way before that. And then a lunch, and there's a lot. I'm not going to read them all, but lunch, Top of the World. A lunch at Top of the World. I wonder if you could get a lunch over. California Grill isn't even open. Lunch at Crystal Palace, the Garden Gallery at the Disney Inn, Grand Floridian Cafe. And then the dinners, Outer Rim or the Pueblo Room, almost every restaurant in Epcot Center, including Le Cellier, the Village Restaurant, Fisherman's Deck, Garden Gallery, Tangaroa Terrace.
Do these have expiration dates on them?
They do not. So.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, Todd, but I want to get serious now about a contest, because this is
serious.
This is serious because this has one of the most serious things ever. I feel like it's shirt worthy. It may even be logo worthy for how this is called the Escape to Epcot Center contest.
Ooh.
I've never heard anybody say escape to. No. I've heard escape from New York. I've heard the Great Escape. I've heard escape from LA, not escape to Epcot Center. This one was run in 1988 in Edmonton in Canada. And to enter, you had to clip the coupon from the journal and watch 2-3 TV, which that's a TV station there. Now, while you're watching 2-3 TV, a Disney symbol will be shown 8 times a day on your TV screen. You only need to see the symbol once to enter the contest. Indicate the show date and time, the show, the date, and the time, and send in the coupon. The symbol will appear on 2-3 TV from March 1st to March 31st. Coupons will appear daily in the Edmonton Journal during the same time frame. Trip winners will be chosen randomly, and you basically get a family trip flying to Walt Disney World, Epcot Center in Florida on Delta Airlines, the official airline of Walt Disney World. You'll be staying at the beautiful Hilton in the Walt Disney World Village and enjoy 5 days, 4 nights relaxation.
What a way to get people to watch television.
You got to look for that Disney symbol.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and that trips must be taken from September 8th to the 12th.
You're going and that's it. That's all we're giving you.
I have school. Sorry, you can't.
That's the start of school year.
Escape to Epcot Center.
Escape to Epcot. Well, it was educational back then, so you could leave school. It was not a big deal.
Isn't that the 1 week when it's totally dead?
That is true.
Yeah, it totally is.
Okay. Now, this is connecting, now the current Star Wars property. Now, back then, we only had Star Tours.
Sure.
But 1999, what Star Wars movie had just come out?
Oh, that was Phantom Menace.
Yes. So Walmart has a Star Wars trivia contest. It says, win a trip to ride Star Tours at MGM Studios and Walt Disney World, Florida. Now, I'm going to have you guys enter the contest here.
Oh, boy.
Let's see if you would get the 3 trivia questions right, and you can work as a team.
Okay.
If you can answer our Star Wars trivia questions, you're eligible to win an official Star Wars action figure or an out-of-this-world trip for 2 at Walt Disney World. If you're the winner, you'll zoom through space at Star Tours, a fabulous thrill ride. Enter today at 10 participating Walmart stores in excluding the North Richland Hills location. This is Fort Worth, Texas.
I can't go to that one, huh?
No. All right. So here we go.
Okay.
First question. The wisdom of this senior member of the Jedi Council is revered, and his authority is as high as that of Master Yoda. Who is he?
I guess Qui-Gon. Or
no,
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, is that Mace Windu?
Mace Windu. That's.
I think that's what they're looking for.
I believe that's
right.
Mace Windu.
Now, bear in mind that's the hardest question. Number 2. In what place did Han Solo meet Luke Skywalker for the first time?
In the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah.
Boom. And what type of droid is C-3PO?
He's a protocol droid.
Protocol droid.
Yep.
Yeah. So you answer those 3 questions. You fill this out, and you could be zooming to ride Star Tours. Now, grand prize winner will be drawn for all entries, no purchase entry. Decisions of the judges are final. They don't mention anything about getting there. Oh, I'm sorry. No, in the fine print. Grand prize consists of 2 round-trip airfare tickets to Orlando, Florida, park admission, and hotel accommodations for 3 days, 2 nights for 2 people. They don't say where you're staying or anything like that.
Yeah, Spirit Airlines, and you're sleeping in someone's van.
Yep. But you do get that action figure.
Right.
I found a fun one here. Now, in searching for Disney World contests, this woman got a random letter in the mail, and she got a letter from Disney. And she opened it and was so excited. She said, I thought as I was reading it, I was winning a trip to Disney World. But it turns out she was not. She was getting a cease and desist letter from Disney because she worked at Grumpy's Pub in Grub, and they told her to get rid of Grumpy's likeness and quit promoting your place with that. So she did not win a trip, and I thought this was a very funny news article from Wisconsin in 1989. And it's an amazing logo. It's Grumpy has bloodshot eyes. They think it's copyright infringement, the whole thing. So she did not win on that.
She could have won an exciting trip to copyright court.
That's right.
Exactly. All right. We want to do a few more?
Yeah. What else we got?
I'd like to do one if I
go
could,
right ahead. Yeah, chime in.
Yeah, go right.
I pasted this in the chat because it's pretty unbelievable. And so I was reading the small print to be like, all right, what's the catch? And you remember, I mean, with the Columbia House and all that, but they would do these book series. You would advertise like Time Life books and all. And the catch was always like, oh, the first one or the first encyclopedia or whatever was free.
Yeah.
If you signed up to start, and then every once a month or every 4 weeks, we'll send you another book. And it's yours free to evaluate for 10 days or return it to us. And if you didn't return it, they would send you a bill of like $30 for the book.
And you had to buy at least like 10 or something like that.
Well, on the tapes and CDs and records, it was usually you had to buy 4 if you kept your 90. So over the
at
course
regular
of
member price,
whatever, right? And they weren't like crazy priced or anything like that. But the hook was you would forget to send back the ones you didn't want, or forget to send back the cancellation notice to them, and they would keep sending them and keep billing you for them, and you'd owe the money. And so it's one of the reasons that there are certain DVDs that I see every week at the flea market. Like nobody bought that many copies of, I don't know, they're like some terrible movies that there's always a dozen copies in the DVD guys selling. And I'm like, who bought? And I'm like, they had to have been a Columbia House, like monthly selection that, because nobody has that many copies of, I can't even think of one of the movies.
Do you know they were never original CDs too, or original tapes? BMG had the rights to reproduce, and then their barcode was different on the back.
Columbia House
was legit.
Did send you Columbia Records, original stuff. But anyway, this contest was run by. These hardcover books were basically Disney stories. So it was the Walt Disney, Bambi Grows Up, Cinderella, Winnie the Pooh, and Tigger 2. I do see these books. It's exactly something your grandmother would get you. And it was they would mail you one every 6 weeks or whatever. But also it had this blue plastic bookcase, like book holder.
Oh yeah.
With Mickey's head on the top of it, which absolutely must have gotten broken off of almost everyone, because I never see these at the flea market. But this is one of those ones where to subscribe, you send in the certificate that is with this thing. It was 1984, by the way. It's the 5th annual $150,000 family fund sweepstakes to Walt Disney World. Now, the catch is the certificate thing that you would fill out to mail in and sign up. It was like Publishers Clearinghouse. It had a number on it. Mm-hmm. And you had to be the one submitting the winning, like the grand prize was already there. Like you may have already won your number.
Okay.
But so you had to sign up in order to do it. But listen, it's in the chat, but listen to this grand prize. The grand prize was an expense-paid 8-day vacation to Walt Disney World Vacation Kingdom, including Epcot Center, plus $25,000 in cash to spend as you please, plus a brand new Chrysler LeBaron Town and Country station wagon, plus a sporty new Pontiac Fiero SE. So you're winning 2 cars, 25 grand, and a trip to Walt Disney World.
Damn.
Or one of these great prizes. The second prize was a brand new Plymouth Voyager minivan, that was the first year minivans came out from Chrysler. The third prize is your choice of a complete Panasonic video and audio system, and they have the big projection screen TV and a console stereo, or a General Electric. Oh wait, you get $1,500 in cash in addition to the stereo system and TV, or a General Electric Dream Kitchen plus $1,500 in cash. This is 1984.
Yeah.
10 fourth prizes is an Apple IIe computer system, which back then,
what is it?
2,500 maybe?
Oh, that much, okay.
I'm guessing for the disk drive amount. And then 2,500 fifth prizes were a Mickey Mouse 2-bell alarm clock, like one of those tick, 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 tick. Yeah. Enter now and be eligible for the $10,000 early bird prize. So what if you won the $10,000 plus the grand prize?
Get $35,000.
And because I was like reading the fine print, like where is this?
Yeah.
Like do they have details on these prizes? And it does not.
I mean, if you won that first prize and you made $35K, that's the equivalent of $105,000.
That's big.
Plus 2 cars.
Plus 2 cars.
Got some taxes to pay on that.
Wait, you said it was a Plymouth van, a Pontiac Fiero.
It was a Chrysler Town and Country station wagon.
It's weird. It's 2 Chrysler products and then a Pontiac.
Chrysler LeBaron Town and Country station wagon and a brand new sporty Pontiac Fiero SE. So plus 2,514 other terrific prizes and a $10,000 early bird prize.
How much money did this company make out of books that they could afford to give this stuff away?
That tells you what a business this, like,
so lucrative.
Yes. All these like subscription. Well, I mean, the modern version of it is all these, Apple Music and your subscription to Paramount Plus, and you're like, you just
the Panera Sips Club.
Yeah. The $10 coming out of your account every month that you just don't notice or don't remember to cancel, or they make it hard to cancel. And
I got to see these books because I think I might have had them.
I remember that bookcase that came with it.
They're in the. Oh,
Okay,
did I
I'll
not
have to
paste?
check
No,
it
let me
out.
paste one with the chat. Hang on, let me paste the thing with the books so you can see them, and you'll instantly recognize them.
Oh, I know exactly what it was. Blue, right? Wasn't the Mickey head blue?
The Mickey head was blue. It's not a great picture of the Mickey. Mickey
these are a little
bookcase, but-
older. I had a different version.
Yeah,
of
so
this.
this one I'm just pasted in there now has the little bookshelf for them over there on the right. It's
Oh yeah, there it is. Yep.
You're free. Yep. This is
Totally remember those.
I mean, I think we had these books too. Like, it's just something that like one of my aunts probably got us or something. And yours free for 10 days. And then you had to mail them the book back if you didn't want
which
it.
nobody did.
Yeah.
That's
so
why.
you just paid the $7.95 or whatever. And
Oh, Timmy read it 3 times. He loves it.
It costs more to ship it than it does to keep it. The value, because you probably paid the return shipping. Well, I have one here. I thought this was an interesting hook. I won't get into all of it, but this is, what the year? 1990. We're back to MGM Studios and Star Wars and that. And these contest rules were interesting to me. And it was a clip, clip this out of the Palm Beach Post, the newspaper. And you win 39 prizes were available, 3-day, 2-night Disney World vacation, world passports to all the parks, 15 pairs of tickets to all the parks, whatever. They say, enter as often as you like. Use the entry form above or make a hand-drawn copy of that entry form. But no photocopies.
Like it's like what movie was it? Was it Real Genius, right? Where the guy's got he has to send out the all the entries to the sweepstakes.
Oh yeah.
These are entries into the Frito-Lay sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. Enter as often as you want, so I am.
That's great. How many times?
Well, this batch makes it 1,650,000. I should win 32.6% of the prizes, including the car.
That kind of takes the fun out of it, doesn't it?
But they set up the rules. Lately, I've come to realize that I have certain materialistic needs.
It's amazing to me. You can't draw. And I have another one in 1996. I think Brian shared this one as well. The 25th anniversary celebration. You had to write out your Walt Disney World memory. Please type or print, providing as many details as you can. Don't worry about your writing style. We're looking for a uniquely memorable experience, not great writers. And you had to attach your memory to the completed entry form below. You have to listen to WGN Radio 720 August 5th through the 9th from 2 to 6 p.m. during the Spike O'Dell show. If your memory is read on the air, you could win a Disney 25th anniversary gift pack. Listen for details. And then your panel of judges will select the entry with the most magical memory and will award its writer a very special Disney vacation, which again is this was a big one. They had you a guest of honor at every ceremony, party, and presentation at the resort during its 25th anniversary gala celebration, September 29th to August 3rd. So if we're watching any of the old videos and there's somebody awkwardly standing there that looks like they don't know what to do with their hands, that's them. But I think that's a pretty good one. You're at the gala celebration.
We're getting the only thing I can think of next is draw this turtle. Remember those guys? Like, you could be an artist if you draw this turtle. I feel like we're getting close to that.
Like, dear Spike, one time I was on Splash Mountain and Brer Fox said he was going to marry my mom.
Now, if you recall, this was been a 90s promo, the Super Soap weekends and all that at MGM Studios, and visit. They did have one where the grand prize winner. Now, there was a couple different things. One winner would receive 4 Disney MGM Studio tickets, valid for a day's admission to the theme park during Super Soap weekend. That was 1996, and you got to meet the stars. This one had the same contents. If you were picked to be the winner, you could possibly create a plot line for a soap opera. And that plot line was judged for content by the Orlando Sentinel editors and Leslie Doolittle. Prizes will be awarded to the entries deemed best by the judges. Winners will be notified. Winners' names will not be given over the telephone, blah, blah, blah. If a prize winner is unable to accept, an alternate winner will be chosen. But you could pick the plot line for a soap opera.
That's fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Evil Twin, like Amnesia. There's so many good ones that you can choose from in soap operas.
If you set the plot line at Walt Disney World, it's probably a bonus when the ABC owned them. Because Super Soap Weekend only promoted the ABC soaps. So
that's true. Yeah.
Now, I do have another one where it's not a contest. All you had to do was purchase something. This was a 1980s, I believe it was, I'm not sure if it's Sears or whoever, but the Snapper lawn tractor.
Snappers, yeah.
Buy a Snapper lawn tractor and stay 4 days in Florida on us. And here's what you get. 4 days, 3 nights. You get deluxe accommodations at the Hilton Inn Florida Center, the Hilton Inn Gateway, or the Altamonte Springs Hilton for 2 adults. You get a welcome split of champagne. What does that mean, welcome split?
A split is a small bottle.
Okay.
It's a small bottle of champagne. Yeah.
First morning continental breakfast for 2. Discount coupons for shows, restaurants, and attractions. 2 all-day adult Walt Disney World passports, and you get to, it says choice of Magic Kingdom or EPCOT. I thought the passport got you to both, but
oh no, originally you could get a 1-day passport.
All right. Children occupying the same room as parents stay for free. And finally, complimentary greens fees with a cart rental at Orlando's Rosemont Country Club. And there were some stipulations on, what you had to buy, and you couldn't just buy a push mower. You had to get a, 33-inch high vac mower and things like that. But hurry, offer ends soon at participating dealers.
So it sounds like that was like a package. If you bought it, you got the trip.
Yeah.
It does sound very timeshare-y fishy, though.
Well, it's off-site locations, and you're only getting, was it 1 or 2 day park time? It was like 1 day of park time. It sounds like for 2 people, and
discount
then
coupon book.
The coupons are, everybody got those with that Vacation Land magazine. There was, oodles of coupons for everything that was off property.
No airfare, right? You didn't say anything. There was nothing about airfare.
Didn't see anything now.
So you would have to get yourself from Virginia down to Walt Disney World, since it does not include airfare.
It's a nice little hook to get you in there and buy your Snapper, huh?
Yeah. Well,
if I was between a Toro and a Snapper and someone offered me, a trip to Disney, I'm going with the Snapper.
Yeah. I don't think that we can pass this episode without mentioning that early on, we got an email from Dane Prade up in Canada. He sent us this in 2019. So we moved from the UK to Canada in 1973, and I was 5. 4 years later, he won a 2-week vacation to Disney. They had 2 weeks in the Contemporary and spent our days at the Magic Kingdom beaches, Cape Kennedy, SeaWorld, etc. What a trip. For a 9-year-old, it was utterly fantastic. I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood, but that stands out. And he did list a bunch of stuff that was really cool. I remember going back and forth with him. He sent us some pictures, one of which I got a kick out of because he's sitting there doing homework. And in front of them is like a can of Coke and then a bottle of red vermouth. And I said, sweet vermouth. And I said, was the Coke yours or was the sweet vermouth yours? And I said, no, the sweet vermouth was probably my mom's because she's sitting at the table too. But yeah, I do. So Dane writes to us periodically after these, and it's. I mean, how cool is that to be a kid? And you just say like, "Hey, I just won a 2-week trip," and your parents, "No, you didn't." And let me look at that. Oh, hey, you did.
Well, I did have a couple more here if we want to wrap up here,
wrap a few up.
Yeah, they, the one that I did.
And then we give away our trip.
That's right.
Yes, we're going to give away our trip. So continue to listen and listen for that.
It's downtown beautiful Akron.
He'll take you to the blimp.
Yeah, I will take you there. We can watch it take off. In Troy, Ohio, a little bit south of me, they had the 1972, the Burger Man, which is West Main at Cedar, Troy, Ohio. Almost like a take on Bob's Big Boy, but not as polished.
Okay.
The ad is very basic. It says, win a free family vacation at Disney World at Burger Man. It's a triple play. They show the Burger Man standing there with a bat. He says, first, Burger Man. Second base, Eastern Airlines. And then Walt Disney World. We don't know how you win other than you treat your family to Burger Man's great food and enter our Disney World contest. They have a winner every month, and there's other great prizes as well. It's an opening week special happening too. 3 of any food or drink item for the price of 2. For details and free entry blanks, stop at Burger Man. It's a great logo. That one's a fun one to look up if you're getting into our show notes there. I'd like to go over to this one. This is a very, very important one. In the Miami Herald, Walt Disney World Resort contest winner has a special reason to celebrate. When Anna Val sent in her entry for a fantasy vacation at Walt Disney World Resort, she couldn't help but notice that the date of the contest drawing was significant in more ways than one. June 13th was the anniversary of Anna's arrival in the United States from Cuba, 27 years to the date. So she got a full-page ad with her picture because she won. She was selected for the Walt Disney World Resort Be Our Guest sweepstakes. It was an all-inclusive vacation getaway for 4, 3 days and 2 nights in one of the world's most popular resorts that included airfare, ground transportation, hotel accommodation, meals, and free admission. Now, this is my favorite. I just can't believe they did this. You get free admission to Magic Kingdom, the Disney MGM Studios, and EPCOT 94. I mean, the whole park name changed.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine the marketing. Imagine the printing of stuff.
For
it was
2.1 years.
Yeah, just crazy.
94, 95, and then very briefly in 1996, it was EPCOT 96, and then they.
Brian, we should preface that was the time when everything, not just theme parks, was preceded by the year. Microsoft Windows 2000 and Word 2000, Word 2001, and NHL 97, NHL 1999. I mean, everybody was using it. It was the thing to do.
JT, one that I had dropped in there, a while back, I want to talk about is another Canadian contest for Mickey's 50th in 1978. I remember it was a bit happy 50 years, lots of stuff going on. And they ran one for Kraft in Canada, where macaroni and cheese is called Kraft Dinner. Come wish Mickey happy birthday on the Great Kraft Disney Whirl. WHIRL, whirl. And it says, grand prize trips, 20 people in all will jet to Florida for a 1-week holiday, including deluxe hotel, rented car, trips to Walt Disney World and other attractions, plus $200, and in parentheses it says Canadian. Spending money. I don't know what that, if that's supposed to like lower your expectations or anything in 1982. But it says, the Great Kraft Disney Whirl is a dream trip for kids of all ages. You can win one of 5 exciting trips to the vacation kingdom of the world, a trip for 2, a trip for 3, a trip for 4, a trip for 5, or what do you think the next one is?
6.
A trip for 6.
6 is good.
So 20 people in all jet to Florida for 8 days and 7 nights. Each travel prize includes return, that means round trip, economy airfare, deluxe hotel accommodations, a rented air-conditioned Chevy Malibu, that's specific, 2 full days at Walt Disney World, 5 full days at Clearwater. This is my favorite, with side trips to Kennedy Space Center, Busch Gardens, and SeaWorld.
Wow.
Now, Howard, where's Clearwater?
So Clearwater, Florida is over by me. It's on the west coast of Florida, close to Busch Gardens, but certainly not anywhere near Kennedy Space Center.
if you were in Clearwater and were taking a side trip to Kennedy Space Center,
I hope you have an air-conditioned Chevy Malibu.
I think that's what, a 3-hour drive?
That's a 3-hour drive easily. Yeah.
You're going coast to coast.
Yeah, you're going across the state. And I mean, back then I-4 traffic wasn't what I-4 is now. So, I mean, you could move along at a pretty good clip, but SeaWorld is obviously by Disney World. So I am very curious if you get to do the SeaWorld trip while you're staying in the hotel near Disney World.
Hopefully.
Or once they've moved you to, it's very unspecific. And
okay, so if you did I-4, you would be going across and then up to Daytona Beach and then back down south to, I mean, the only way that you could get to the Kennedy Space Center back then was on Highway 50, which was like 2-lane for most of the way across Florida once you got past Orlando. So that'd be slow goings.
There are so many details here, I have to share them all. So the more the merrier. Start saving your Kraft peanut butter flavor seals. I guess those are the things you rip off the top when you open the peanut butter. When you twist off the top, they had that like foil seal. So start saving your Kraft peanut butter flavor seal and universal product code symbols from Kraft Dinner macaroni and cheese packs. Now, the more you save and send in, the more people you can take on the trip if you win. Take the kids, the grandparents, your friends too. You could win a trip for up to 6 people. Here's how the contest works.
This breakdown is insane.
So to qualify for a trip for 2, you'd have to send flavor seals from Kraft peanut butter totaling 3 pounds or 12 packs of Kraft Dinner macaroni and cheese.
UPC.
For 3 people, it is 6 pounds or 18 packs. 6 pounds of peanut butter or 18 packs.
You can pick too.
For 4 people, it's 8 pounds of peanut butter or 24 packs of macaroni and cheese. For 5 people, it is 10 pounds of peanut butter and 30 packs of macaroni and cheese. And if you're taking 6, if you got 4 kids and 2 parents or whatever, it is 12 pounds of peanut butter or 36 packs of macaroni and cheese.
And that's just to enter. That doesn't mean you win if you consume these 12 pounds of peanut butter.
The period is, it begins in April 10th, 1978. And to be eligible, all the entries had to be received no later than noon, June 24th, 1978. So April, May, May to June. So you're talking basically about 8 weeks, 9 weeks.
Yeah.
Where you would have to eat nothing but peanut butter and macaroni and cheese.
Because otherwise it's going bad.
And the macaroni and cheese you can take out of that. Like you could rip the UPC symbols off and not eat them. But if you're unsealing the peanut butter, you're going to have 12 pounds of unsealed peanut butter up in your your cupboard, waiting for this. I mean, I absolutely love it.
The peanut butter picture, though, it looks like a normal jar of peanut butter. So what's a normal jar of peanut butter weigh? Like, it's not a pound.
Well, they're ounces, right? They're in ounces, aren't they? Yeah. Like they're 12 ounces, 8.
Are those Canadian ounces or American ounces?
They're metric and.
So here's my favorite part. Well, they're all my favorite parts, but is you going to make sure you mark on your envelope the exact trip for which your entry is submitted. I guess the 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 people. All entries must be received no later than June 24th. Enter as often as you like, and then in bold, like capital letters, but make sure you read the rules carefully. So, my friends, first let me tell you about the other prizes, and then we'll read the rules.
Okay.
In addition to the Disney World Grand Prize, Kraft will be awarding 500 Mickey Mouse watches and 1,000 Mickey Mouse mugs. Total approximate retail value of all prizes is $29,335. Now, the rules and regulations for this insane contest were that you had to print your full name, address, and telephone number on an official entry form from your grocer or on a plain 3x5 piece of paper, which is an index card. Insert it in an envelope addressed to Kraft at then mail it together with your flavor seals from jars of peanut butter.
Oh, gross.
Or the UPC symbols from packages
Can you
of Kraft
all
dinner.
These oily envelopes arriving?
Wait. Or facsimiles, so you could copy them.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy, to a Kraft address in St. John's, New Brunswick. Now, enter as often as you like, etc. There are 5 grand prizes. It describes them. You'll receive return economy airfare, deluxe accommodations for 2 nights in Walt Disney World and 5 nights in Clearwater. So you're in Orlando for, Lake Buena Vista for 2 nights.
No, wait, it says each person traveling, you're going to start in Tampa.
It does say that. I'm sorry. They fly you into Tampa.
So that's your Clearwater leg.
And then you'll get return economy airfare. So you're returning from Tampa. Two nights in Disney World, 5 nights in Clearwater, plus, remember, passes to 24 rides at Walt Disney World, which I'm assuming is one of those multi-coupon booklets, the A, B, C, D tickets. I wouldn't imagine they get this was before EPCOT opened, so they were still doing the A through E tickets. Transportation to and a tour of Kennedy Space Center, Busch Gardens, and SeaWorld, and $200 Canadian spending money. Each travel prize includes a rented air-conditioned Chevy Malibu for 7 days. From all remaining entries, they give away the mugs and the stuff there. It's open to individuals 18 and older. You can't be employed by Kraft. Let me just see here. Selections for each of the 5 grand prizes will be made at random only from qualified entries received for each separate trip, the 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 trip. And the selection will be made at random for each of the 5 mugs and watches. Only 1 prize per family, household, or address. And to win, the selected entrants who qualify must first correctly answer a time-limited skill testing question.
What?
No, it's because my understanding, because I have some rules for another contest, is that there's certain domains in certain places where you're from where you can't just be given something, so you have to prove your worth by okay, there's an X and an O, put the O on the X. Yay, you did it, you get a prize. So you actually have to perform something in order to receive.
So it's just like a formality of...
Exactly.
They do have a stipulation here that all grand prize winners must accept the prizes as awarded and depart from Canada.
Oh.
So if your aunt and uncle, if you live in southern Canada, near the New York border or Michigan or whatever, and your aunt and uncle live on the other side, they got to come to Canada if they're flying with you. If you win the big trip for 6,
it's like when you win prizes and the price is right. We'll fly you from LA to New York, and Brian, you would win that prize, and you would have to fly from Philadelphia to LA on your own dime.
Oh, gosh.
And then have them fly you to New York.
It is amazing.
All right. Well,
I'm going to stop there. But their peanut butter does have a bear on it for some, I guess, Canadian peanut butter back then from Kraft. There were 2 little cute looking snuggle bears who were the mascots.
Guys. Yeah.
Oh, well, tell us more, Hal.
I don't remember more other than I recognize them.
They do have the picture of the mug and the watch.
Yeah, God, those mugs look familiar too.
Yeah, those milk glass mugs.
Yeah.
I get at some point Kraft must have gotten out of the peanut butter business in the United States.
Yeah. That's amazing.
50th birthday with Mickey.
Brian, does Channel 22 WDAU ring a bell for you?
Not to me, no.
Oh, it's enter WDAU and McDonald's Pride of Pennsylvania poster sweepstakes.
Well, let me just warn you.
Yeah?
I know you live in New Hampshire. New Hampshire's about the size of a mall down here, but Pennsylvania's a big place.
Yeah. This is Northeast, so I thought maybe that it must be more of a local time.
Must be more up towards the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area or something like that would be my guess.
So this is a poster sweepstakes to win a trip to Florida. So just make a poster. Now remember, think about what you got to do here. We got to make a poster which shows and tells why you're proud to live in Northeast Pennsylvania, and then send it to WDAU with the entry blank or one that you get at all participating McDonald's restaurants. And then it says that's all you have to do. So 3 age groups, daily winners. There'll be 3 age groups in the sweepstakes: children in 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th. And daily winners will be drawn at random from each group. So they're making you have to make a poster, but they don't care about the poster. They're just going to randomly pull out of a hat.
There's a lot of those, like where they're like, send us your 25 words or less why you want that, and they don't actually utilize that in selecting the winner. Like,
nope. So you are correct. It does go to WDAU in Scranton. I believe they're Lackawanna Avenue, so probably pretty close to Dunder Mifflin. But there is so you could be on paper no larger than 11 by 14. They didn't want posters. And it does say in here, trips are awarded on a space available basis. Trips may not be validated during some peak or holiday travel periods. And then they give a date where they have to use them. And they have an actual deadline down to the minute, 5 p.m., February 21st, 1986. So
gotta have a deadline, Todd.
That's right. Now, here's another interesting one. These are the rules for the Walt Disney World 15th birthday. Now, I believe, just like any other rule, if you have a contest like that, you have to post it somewhere. So these were actually put into the paper in the Florida area. This is in Florida Today from May 22nd, 1987. So the 15th birthday contest rules, I'll go through some of them here, but it was open to everybody age 3 and above, because remember, below 3, you were getting in free. So you had to have a ticket basically to get in during regular resort hours. And as we know, it ran from October 1st, 1986. And then they said on or about September 30th, 1987. So then that gets into a little bit about, if you're there for a hard ticket event or a mix-in party. I don't remember what the mix-in party was.
Did you say Nixon or
No,
Mixin?
No. Mix-in, M-I-X.
Is it 2 words?
No, mix-in-party.
It's like, way to party with Richard Nixon at the Walt Disney World Resort.
Just wear your suit.
I'm assuming that's like a corporate event or something. But anyway, that and obviously employees of the. So here's the odds. They were actually 1 in 24, but they would not give you odds of winning a major prize because it would depend on the number of content entries at Magic Kingdom EPCOT. So basically, the people coming through through the turnstiles. So you were responsible for our licenses and federal, state, local, and other taxes. Now, here you go, JT. Automobiles will be awarded only to residents of the United States, including its possessions, Canada or Mexico. Residents of other countries who win an automobile will automatically receive a specified cash substitute in lieu of the automobile. See complete rules for details. Void where prohibited. State local regulations. And here it is, Brian. A winner who is a resident of Canada will be required to take a test of skill. So there's another one. I love this, though. The contest sponsor is not responsible for delays in turnstile transit. Each guest is responsible for making certain he or she received a contest entry card before leaving the turnstile. Anything mutilated, counterfeit, anything like that would not be accepted. So they could change your prize at any time, and contest media will not be valid for admission to the Magic Kingdom. Obviously, you couldn't get in with your ticket. So, but I thought that was interesting. And then if anybody's interested for a list of major prize winners, there's an address. So if you want to find out who won, you can send it. And the next thing below it in the classified ads was a free pregnancy test. Results in 30 minutes.
The funny thing about that is there's always a time limit on the entrance. There is no time limit on writing for a list of the winners.
Right. It'll take us as long as we want.
They always say like anytime after such and such a date. So
or approximately there into about. So
have you ever written for a list of winners? I think I did it once. I did do it once just to many years ago just to see all right, well, I didn't win this. Who won it? And
who are those people? Well, gentlemen, this has been a fun episode. I tell you, I haven't laughed this much in a while on some of these things, and
props to our listener who wrote it and suggested the topic.
I do want to say though, before we leave, we have to pick our winner of the book.
We do.
Yes, we do.
So, JT, do you have the machine all fired up?
Yeah, we can run it.
Well, your computer is going to give me 2 random numbers from 1 to 10. Okay. You give those to me, and then I will be able to tell you who the winner is. All right.
Got it. 2 random numbers 1 to 10. Well, I think we can squeak this out. All right, here we go.
Okay.
First one coming out.
Yep.
We're going to go with a 3 and an 8.
A 3 and an 8. Okay. That is congratulations to Nicholas Harata. Nicholas Harata has won the big prize. He will get the Hidden History book.
So if you stuck around this long, apologies you didn't win, but you don't need the list of winners because we just said who it is.
And if you'd like to, please want to give us our PO box, you can write to us and we'll.
There's no skill test for Nicholas for this either. He just.
But you should go buy or borrow the book from your nearest retailer.
It's been on sale on Amazon.
Bookmonger, yeah. There have been very good deals online and
great,
lots of good reviews. Yeah.
If you were holding out for being a contest listener and you didn't win, definitely.
If we could get people to eat 12 pounds of Mickey bars, could we give away another one?
12 pounds? How do we prove that? I want
video.
I want reasonable facsimiles of
I want every wrapper. I want every wrapper given to us.
You have to eat them all like one after the other and film it and send it to us
in a nonstop video.
Yes.
Oh, that would be
gross.
By the way, I'm talking to my friend Lindsay in Canada right now, and I said we're making fun of Canada on this episode we're recording. She's like, "Why?" So I sent her the craft thing, and she's like, "Well, what's so crazy about it?" I said, "Read the rules on how you enter." And she's like, "Oh, Mel, you're trashing." No way. She says, "But I lived on craft dinner as a kid." She said, "We could have won that contest
3 times. Well, they could have entered as many times as they wanted in that time period. Well, thanks to Adam for he donated there to get on for the Ian interview. Adam sat in on that as a little contest in the contest.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And thanks to Ian for chiming in about the winning stay in the castle. I would have loved to game that somehow to do something crazy up there, but that was very cool to hear that firsthand experience.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much as always for joining with us all here, and I hope all of our listeners, as always, you can reach out to us at podcast@retroww.com. And if you feel like it, please send a donation to lbvhistory.org/donate. And you can find all of our merchandise at retrowdw.com/support us. As Hal mentioned, maybe we'll be working on a new shirt. There's a couple in there. We're going to figure out where we're going next month.
Well, we know where we're going.
Where are we going? We don't have a Slack channel for it yet, so my brain isn't working.
We do have a Slack channel for it.
Where is it?
We talked about this last month. I think we did get another request.
You created this channel on May 15th. Where have I been? My brain hasn't.
Someone wrote us and said that they wanted to know about Meet the World at EPCOT, and so we're going to do the entire Japan Pavilion. Terrific. Not just Meet the World, but we're going to cover the Japan Pavilion, some of its early ideas, some things that made it, some things that didn't make it, and
how it's changed.
How wonderful it is. Exactly.
From 75-cent sushi to $75 sushi.
What's the over under that the song "Turning Japanese" gets to make an appearance in the episode?
I really think so. It'll be in there.
I expect it to play us out right here. That's what I expect.
Well, on that note, everybody, sayonara. We'll see you next month. And with that, Brian, take us out.
Follow the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society on Twitter and Instagram at LBV History and on the web at lbvhistory.org. For all things Retro Disney World, including exclusive merchandise, visit us on the web at retrowdw.com and on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at RetroWDW. And follow our hosts, Todd McCartney, on Twitter at WDWMS, Hal Bowers on Twitter and Instagram at GoAwayGreen, JT Cougar on Twitter at LS1JT, and on YouTube at Rubber City Motoring, and on the web at rubbercitymotoring.com. And you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Brian P. Miles. Retro Disney World is the monthly podcast of the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society, a nonpartisan, nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 organization, and is not affiliated in any way with the Walt Disney Corporation or any of its subsidiary or affiliated entities.
side as well. You got me turning up, I'm turning down, I'm turning in, I'm turning right, I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so. Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so. Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so. Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so.
You're all winners in my book.